All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, on this Wednesday evening. If you are on the continent, for everybody else, regardless of um, your time zone, welcome. Glad to have you with us. And in tonight's show, we're going to be talking about, and I'm sure everybody is already anticipating this tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit about the partner preview coming up tomorrow. Yo, Fuzzy, welcome in. Thank you for joining and being bright and early. So today, ladies and gents, funny enough, it's not even been a week, and there's so many news. Like there's always something bumping. There's always something happening in gaming. Apparently, we just never go for even a week without any event or it being eventful. But that's great for us. That's great for us who appreciate this hobby of ours. So, what are we going to be talking about today? So, one of the things I wanted to talk about, because I'm really, really excited about this, and I know Tai is as well, he's going to be joining me shortly, and that is the Expanse. I thought they've released something. I've got an echo. Oh, snap. Let's see what's going on. Thank you, Vince, for that. Welcome in, Vincent Vega. I wonder where the echo is coming from. Let me just play around a little bit with my sound and see if we can't tweak that and get rid of that echo. Let's change. Let's try this. Let me know if you can still hear the echo, Vince. But welcome in, Vince. Thank you for joining as well. So, as I was mentioning, first order of business is we're going to talk about the partner preview, and then we're also going to be talking about the hotly anticipated, especially by us RPG nerds, the hotly anticipated Expanse game coming up, as well as Exodus. So Exodus is still present. That is very weird, Vince. Just give me a second. Let's see what we can do about the audio. Okay, cool. So while I just fix my audio, I'm just gonna bump up the music a little bit. How's it, Rachie? Welcome in. Just fixing the sound. I will be with you guys in a minute. This is the echo still present. Welcome in, guys. Just trying to fix the sound. We'll be with you in a second. Echo cancellation is on. Here you adjust my volume. That's fine. Everything seems to be in order. Guys, you let me know if I'm still echoing. I'm just going to mute myself for a second while I test this out. All right. Okay. And now, Vince, sound better? Pretty sure it should be reduced now. I did tweak the settings a little bit. Hard to know what the issue is, though. Okay, so Fuzzy, I've turned the music all the way down. Tell me if that made a difference. Okay. Okay, Fuzzy says don't hear an echo. All right. Vince, let me know what you hear. Rachie, let me know what you hear. But everyone, welcome. Welcome in everyone. And thanks for joining, guys, and being so bright and early or late. Yeah. So again, I'm just gonna go through the topics. So we're gonna talk about. I mentioned the expense. I mentioned the partner preview. So I'm not alone, Rachie. So Taye should be joining me shortly. He is on his way. I think he had a couple of errands to run, so he should be here in the next couple of minutes. Uh, yes, so Brother Loke is MIA, but I did drop him an invite, so if he can come through, he will come through. But normally he notifies me, so chances are he might not come through. So this is our shorter show. This is our Wednesday show. Friday's show is a little bit longer. And even last week, we lost Loke in the middle of the show. He just went poof and disappeared into thin air. But yeah, if he does, but I'm sure he'll be able to join us this upcoming Friday. I think Loke is in the middle of a move. He's moving somewhere, so I think that's another thing that we just need to consider. All right, cool. So aside from the partner showcase, I'm sure you guys have noticed that Vincent said, let's put it on the screen. That's what he gets. What? That's what he gets for praising Elon. Yes, Vincent. He is a huge Elon stan simply because of the fact that he has Starlink. He's using Elon's spyware, so he must do a little bit of pole jockeying for Elon. God knows why, because that dude deserves no props. All right, and I'm a South African. I'm a fellow South African, and I have no love, or there's no love lost for that dude. Another thing that happened this past week, Marathon was successful. We're going to be diving into that and seeing some of the things that, what made Marathon different from all the other Sony Live services that just failed to take off. So we're also going to be talking about Crimson Desert. Another surprise, I would say, success. They sort of like rebounded from their I would say a little bit of like it wasn't a great start. There was a lot of complaints initially when the game was it early access, or was it server, what do they call it, server slam. A lot of people were the reviews initially were mixed, but eventually it looks like the game has found its feet and has actually managed to rebound. So we're going to talk about that, and we're just going to explore some of the reasons. Like, so what can Sony learn from the success of Marathon? And am I correct in saying that this is, aside from Helldivers, this is their second successful launch of a live service game for Sony, which is great. So Vincent said Marathon is basically dead. How is it dead, Vincent? I mean, like, I just looked at the numbers. It sold 1.2, I think, on Steam, and it's had a higher player count. Has that changed over the last couple of days? I mean, the weekend it did very well. And of course, we're also going to be talking about Crimson Desert, and it's sort of like overnight comeback, because the game launched, there were so many complaints, and all of a sudden, the guys released a patch, and all the fans, or everyone that was standing the game, was very pleased with the performance. So, Aya, where's your mascot? Please put your mascot. We need your mascot. We need to see you. But welcome in, Ty. So Rachie says, sorry, Fuzzy says, is Marathon successful though? I don't think Sony paid 3 billion for Bungie to sell 2 million copies. This is only the first. Isn't this like the second or the first week, Fuzzy? I would consider that somewhat successful for them to do two. Like, well, if it did 1.2 million, I would say on PC, it probably did over 2 million PC Xbox, all platforms combined. So it's probably headed towards 3 million. I mean, again, if you compare it to, say, for instance, what was their last live service game? Was it Concord? They released something after Concord. I can't remember. But if you compare it to the likes of Concord, the game has been a tremendous success for Sony. I'm sure they were holding their breaths, and they are pleasantly relieved right now because the game is actually, or the game has managed to find its feet. Look, the main thing that they need to do now is just make sure that they maintain that momentum and they keep the player counts up. A lot of people, I mean, I even watched Angry Joe review the game, and he had a lot of positive things to say about it. And I know that he wasn't necessarily looking forward to it. As along with other channels, a lot of people said that, like, look, the art style is not great. The gameplay is not as attractive, or it's not as visually appealing as, say, a game like what is it, Arc Raiders. So yeah, it has some limitations, but for what it is, it's doing well. So this is, I think we can call this a W for Sony. Can it get better? We hope so, or I'm sure they hope so, that it can continue to do well. Yeah, and again, like this generation, we've not seen anything like Sony. I mean, dude, like we're what, we've how many years into this generation? I think are we 5 years into this generation? And Sony has just not come to the table, man, with the big games. Like, I mean, there's been some notable games here and there, but since that launch period when they came out of the gate, guns blazing, it's been a very, very steady sort of trickle of games, to the point that a lot of people would argue that Xbox has had a better go at it this generation than they did. Yeah, in terms of like releases. I mean, Xbox is jam packed this year. I mean, Forza is coming up. They just released the specs for the upcoming Forza 6. And again, Forza has always been one of those games that you can run on almost anything with a decent frame rates and great graphics. Another thing that we're going to be talking about, ladies and gents, in the subject, on the topic of Xbox, we're going to be talking about Xbox Mode, formerly known as the Xbox full screen experience. You guys tell me what you think about it. Are you excited for Xbox Mode? In fact, if you've downloaded Xbox Mode on your full PC, does it make a difference in terms of like how you play your games, especially if you use a controller? Vince, I don't know. I think you probably use a mouse and keyboard because you strike me as a traditional PC guy. So I wonder if that is something that is that makes a difference in your life. Reggie says marathon is. I see what you did there, Reggie. It isn't a sprint; it's a marathon. Absolutely right. It is a marathon, and we'll have to see if Sony has the lungs for it, and Bungie. But I think Bungie is sort of like Sony has sort of like put them into check, and they seem to know what they're doing. I'm confident. Like they seem to be in control right now. Vincent said 6th year, Bailey the jailbreak. Yeah. Fuzzy said, it's estimated to have sold 217,000 on PlayStation. There's no way Sony's happy with that. But again, these games don't do well on PlayStation, dude. Like, I mean, let's be honest. Like, these sort of multiplayer games just don't do great on PlayStation.
What's up?
Marathon is likely to do better on Xbox, if I'm being totally honest. Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, what's popping, everybody? Looking at the chat, sorry, I was a bit busy there. I had a lot of things to do in work, and I wasn't sure the podcast was going on because someone didn't confirm early on when I asked. But it's all good. Well, we here now.
Yeah. No, I was dead tired. Like I've had one of those days. Hence, I did not put my camera on because I look like a ghost. I look like a zombie. So you're just gonna see my avatar today, ladies and gents.
No, that's fine. This is my show. That's why my face is on the screen. So it's all good.
Please, you please do the honors. Take the stage, Tai.
No, it's good because like Asha's has done. Asha's been on my show a few times. So I've been on Asha's shows a few times now. It's a pretty good. It's very different because when I'm hosting, it's a very different situation than Asha's hosting. So I'll ask you this question before I start talking to the chat. Do you prefer hosting or do you prefer being a panel member?
Are you asking me or are you asking the?
Yeah.
Oh, me, dude. I just love conversation. I love the format. Whether what I like about being a panel member is the fact that I've got zero responsibilities except just giving my opinion whenever it's my turn to speak. So I don't have to drive anything. I don't have to watch the time because my problem is I get lost a lot of the times in the conversation, especially if we're having an intense debate. So I tend to sometimes, I'm sort of still getting the hang of the whole host thing. Yeah. So I would say it's a 60-40, right?
Okay.
I'm getting used to hosting. This is our 25th show. So yeah, I'm a little bit more comfortable with it. But I also love, being on the panel. So yeah, it's 60% host, 40% panel.
Cool.
And you?
Same.
Mhm.
No. It's very different. I think. No. I think I prefer being a panel member.
Mhm.
It's a lots of responsibility. You can troll, you can joke, you can take the piss more. You don't
Yeah,
have to make sure
yeah.
everyone has their talking points and everyone else say what they want to say. It's just a lot more. It's a lot more fun.
Okay, so Vincent is just answering my question here. I can do controller, but not for shooters. Okay, cool. So has the Xbox mode, Xbox full screen experience made a difference in how you game, Vincent? Rachie says PlayStation was literally sleeping for 5 years and Xbox was too busy sewing its legs off. Yeah, pretty much that's what happened. But we're hoping Asha is going to change that. She's making some power moves. Even GameStop is saying trade in your PlayStation for an Xbox Series S. Oh, yeah. Bring in your PS Pros, ladies and gents. Trade it in for that, for that nimble Series X. And I can see the PlayStation fanboys breaking their legs to go get Xbox Series S so they can play South of Midnight. Yeah, so Tai, there's one thing that we forgot to talk about last week, and I think maybe let's open with that. I don't think I have any footage, but I'll look for it while we talk. Did you see the footage from Exodus
I haven't
last
seen
week?
the new one yet. No.
I was looking for it, but I couldn't find any new footage. But I know that they broke something last week. So, guys, if you don't know, Exodus is the upcoming game from Foma,
James
BioWare,
Olsen,
and a lot of the staff that worked on the original BioWare games going far
Drew,
back as.
Drew Kasparian, and James Olsen. James is the creator of Neverwinter's Night, I believe, and also
Mhm,
the Baldur's Gate franchise. He has no involvement in Mass Effect, but obviously the other Bioware stuff he's heavily involved in. Knights of the Old
mhm.
Republic as well, and he left Bioware some time ago, and he retired basically. And the only way to get him out of retirement was to promise him the ability to make whatever he wants to make.
Mhm.
And of course, they approached him to make a fantasy game because that's his expertise, obviously. But he said, "No, I actually want to make a sci-fi game." And they were like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." So they gave him free reign to do what he wants to do, and he
Yeah.
himself to the relationship has been very pleasant, better than EA's. Now he's gone though. Now, obviously, people were kind of speculating as to why. Is that because there was a disagreement, an argument, whatever?
Oh wait, did he leave development?
Oh yeah, he left like early this year.
Oh wow! You see, this is the problem with anything to do with Bioware. Like, there's always bullshit when it comes to making the games, bro. Like, I think sometimes, and I hate to be deriding Jeffy every 2 seconds, but he's said this a lot of times that the problem is when you have these big egos working together. At some point in time, there's always some sort of a clash where and he said the same thing that like it would be very difficult for him to work with, let's say, a Kojima to make a game.
Mm,
um and it's got to do with this whole thing of whose ideas end up on the cutting room floor and all that type of stuff, and all sorts of like politics like that there. So, and I'm starting to believe that, because if I look at, like, for instance, all these guys are super talented, But for some reason, things like this happen all the time.
But I
Especially
think
like
the
WoW is
issue
notorious.
there's a like to the point you're talking about. If everybody sticks to their expertise, you don't really get as much of a problem. However, that it can lead to issues. So I'll give you an example. When Horizon Zero Dawn was being made, I can't remember his name now. Was it John, or he used to work? He worked on Fallout. He was a story writer for Fallout. The director wanted Aloy to get the focus at a different time or whatever, or I believe maybe somebody wanted to get at a different time because it made sense. However, there was a pushback, I think, from the director saying no, it has to be now, it has to be earlier on now, and that would have changed the gameplay because Aloy gets to start to scan things very early on. She gets to use it very early on, and maybe even to hack things. So that would have affected the gameplay. So there's situations where the narrative can actually impact the actual gameplay in those circumstances. So who wins in that situation? I could see Jaffe, for example, saying, okay, let me deal with the combat, or let me deal with the direction of the combat, or whatever it is. I has a combat director. But maybe Kojima likes the walking and the scenery. You know what I mean? And Jaffe's like, we're spending too much money on this. I'm spending too much time here. So like we need to speed this up. So I think even if like you focus on your expertise, you're gonna get this kind of clashes. As long as the director is the person in charge and he's willing to listen, and when he says no, it's a no. We just move on. I think that's how these things can work out well. But if you have two creators together, like I think somebody made it like there's a picture of like all these Japanese creators together. Someone was like, "Oh, all you guys make a game together," and the response I think from the Tekken guy was all like, "We're all creative directors. Like, how's that going to work?" Like, no. If he was a combat director, he was an artist, and I'm the creative director, and this person deals with music. Oh, sure. Like we could, respect each other's expertise and just move on from there. But creative directors is never gonna pan out. Just real quick before I go back to your point, Marathon did 1.2 million. Yes, I don't know if Sony's happy with that number, but I do look at everyone saying like, oh, it did well on Xbox, I suppose. And I'm always gonna hop on this point again. Xbox is obviously the shooter box, but what people always seem to forget, that I always say, is that if you really want to gauge if Xbox players are buying games or not, always look at the material purchase to user base number. That'll let you know. That'll give you a better accurate reading. I'm not saying it's the best reading, but it's more accurate than saying that like, well, it only sold 500K on Xbox and it sold 2 million on PlayStation. That number tells you nothing.
So tell me, do you think Sony should start looking into, like, for instance, doing the free-to-play or using the free-to-play model for games like Marathon to see if they can't get wider? Because this is live services typically, work are much more optimized if they are more free-to-play.
No, I think Marathon's going to stay the way it's going to stay. I think if they were to move to free-to-play soon, it would be a disaster in the sense that people are going to be pissed off. And you don't want that user base.
Yeah, of course. But I mean like for future iterations, or do you think they should try free-to-play or future live services? Because they still have quite a few in the bag that they need to get out there that they've already paid for. Like free game, what is it? What free fair game or some
fair
that
game.
thing that Jade Raymond was working on?
No, I think unless you have a very interesting loop, I don't believe free to play is your best bet. I don't even think they have enough to even warrant a free to play. I think people might just bounce off fast. Whereas you can make an argument that if you purchase the game, you're more likely to invest more time in it to at least get some kind of value from it. So no, I don't think it's going to be free to play. But to be honest, I think PlayStation is they're pushing the reset button on everything that was Jim Ryan was involved with. So we saw that the mobile, they just shut down the mobile studio. We've seen that like they're shutting down more studios. They're getting rid of live service. I think what they're doing is that they're just doubling down on what they know best, which is to kind of focus back on single player games. and do time exclusives in whatever way they can. But what they've probably realized is if we try to make our own game that's live
Yeah.
service or whatever, it's not going to work out. The best thing to do is to go to the people who already have the expertise and get them to make a game. Here's a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Horizon Zero
But
Dawn is Sony's IP.
yeah. Oh, I thought you were gonna say marathon.
No. Guerrilla Games went over and made their own version of a live service game, which is
Yeah.
Horizon Wilds or whatever it's called. They went to NC Soft, I believe that's what they're called, and told them, "Here's the IP. Do what you normally do. Which one looks better?" It's the one from the
It's
park.
NC Soft. Yeah.
Exactly. So they realize, like, you know what? We don't have the expertise and we don't have the time. And the guys in our studios, the truth is, they are single player creators. They're good at what they do. That doesn't mean they're good at
Yeah.
making types of games. So what we should do from here on in is when we want a multiplayer game, let's link up with a studio. In fact, Hoyoverse, Sony probably, I think they have a deal with not a deal, but like Shift Up. If you
Yeah.
want a live service gacha game, go to Shift Up, go to Hoyoverse, give them the bag, make a game for us. I told you, Disney didn't create a new team to make Marvel Snap. They went to people who already know how to make these kind of games. You know, that's just what you do. So yeah, I think the Bungie deal made sense in a way. It made sense in the fact that like Bungie knows live service, but I think what Sony didn't realize is that Bungie financials were all over the place. I mean, they realized that they just didn't really care, and I think it's kind of like bit them down the ass. Like I see people say things about like, well, ABK was a bad purchase as well. I'm like, you don't know what a bad purchase is. They're probably way more bad purchases than Bungie even out there, but Bungie is definitely worse than what ABK did. If you want to argue that ABK was bad, it's bad because it made Xbox go third party. Maybe you can make that argument. To go for the because you could say like, well, Bungie was a write off. It could be a write. It's a bad write off, but it's a write off. Whereas ABK can never be a write off. That's 70 billion, bruh. So you can make that argument, I suppose, but overall, like in terms of value, Bungie is way worse. ABK was good value overall. I would imagine, like when it comes to the future, you're gonna see good value. I just think the problem is that Xbox isn't really executing on using the value as much. They haven't like used ABK to its full potential. They haven't used those developers who know how to make these titles. They haven't used the IPs. They haven't done anything with ABK. ABK, as far as I'm concerned, ABK is operating as ABK normally does. The only difference is some ABK games are on Game Pass. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. So, speaking of Game Pass and speaking of Xbox, so there was quite a few things that I shared with you earlier on in this week from Xbox's side. Like for instance, aside from the little GameStop ad, which was also just a little bit of like a out of nowhere situation, they're also bringing a mobile game called Albion to the Xbox Series X and S, and it's the first time that this game has been brought to console. Look, these sort of things either are gonna have no impact, or they're gonna have some sort of like audience that is interested in experiencing that sort of game on console. But like there's small shifts that I'm starting to notice that are slowly but surely starting to paint a picture in terms of what her strategy is. And again, like for anyone expecting things like exclusives, no, I don't see that coming. I don't see them going back to making you exclusive games for Xbox. That's not going to happen. It's just, again, it's one of those genie out of the bottle things. But
I do hate that statement, but carry on.
Okay, I know you can elaborate, but like I can see her trying to get more reasons for, let's say, the Xbox fan base to be a little bit more satiated than they were, let's say, in the beginning of the generation, where Sarah Bond, Phil Spencer and crew, sort of told you like, well, you know what, you don't really need an Xbox. So there's a lot of things I'm starting to see. Like for instance, there was also another picture that I shared with you, Tai, which was Xbox basically saying for Xbox One owners, you have one of those for you deals on your Xbox where you get up to 50% off on a Series X and S. And yeah, so jump on in. This is the first time I've seen them actually try to put, proposition people from Xbox One to come over to Xbox Series since the beginning of the generation. Typically, it's been like, nah, it's fine. You can play our games on cloud. You can play them on PS5. We don't care. So I can see these little things where she's moving all these little pieces closer and closer to sort of like nudging to say, guys, there's a reason to own a Xbox Series X and S. It might not be exclusives, but there's a reason. Yeah, Ty, please go ahead.
No, I agree what you're saying. The overall, I think when I heard the genie's out of the bottle situation, it doesn't really track with me because I don't think anything. I think when Microsoft says, like, when Tom Warren and even Jazz has alluded to the fact that they're looking to grow their user base, right? User acquisition. And they're also looking to be more consumer focused. And they think that the Xbox brand is very important and they've damaged it. I think everything points to the fact that, like, if you can make a compelling argument why why exclusives are important, and it will lead to growth, and if Asha can show that, I think you will. That can be done. When people say genie out of the bottle, the question I always ask is, like, in what sense? Like, in what sense are they talking about, really?
I mean, so that's the talking point that everybody has, is that you can't actually, that's the sentiment that everyone has, is that, you know what, they've done this thing and it's going to be difficult to reverse. And my whole thing is, okay, cool, right? How do you reverse that? Like, how do you, like, look, to give you case in point, in terms of like another thing that everybody thought was unreversible was Sony putting their games on PC. But the thing about Sony, when they make a decision, they commit and they go through with it. And if I look at like point. If I look at like now, it's almost 100. Nobody even doubts the fact that they're pulling everything from PC. Like, it's all we have is news stories from the likes of Ryan. So what's his name? Jason Ronald. Not Jason Ronald. Sorry, what's his name? Jason Schreier. Sorry, Jason Schreier and a couple of other insiders. Industry insiders and journalists. But like, it's almost a showcase that that's what's going to happen. And again, it's to protect the value of their IPs, as well as the fact that they run a hardware business. So I get the sort of like, why they would do that and why they would commit so strongly to that. The thing is with Xbox, regardless of what Asha has said, I still feel that we don't have a strong commitment to say that, exclusives are part of the strategy going forward. Until they explicitly come out and sort of indicate this and give us some sort of indication of this, I think when games like, I said this to you, that the biggest game that Xbox had, the only killer app that the Xbox Series X, and chat, you can correct me on this if you think there is another killer app for Xbox, is Starfield. And in April, that game is coming to PlayStation. So I don't know. I personally think if you are holding out for exclusives, don't hold your breath.
So whenever the question of it's the genie's out of the bottle pops up, I always say, like, well, let's talk about the factors. Like, why? Like, what are the pillars as to why the genie's out of the bottle? So somebody once gave me a link that showed that like 70% of Xbox's revenue came from, PlayStation for December. And I was like, well, that's 1 month, number one. Number two, how much of that percentage is ABK? There's no Xbox fan that's saying that we want ABK games to be exclusive. Everyone is willing to say past that. In fact, I'll go further. Xbox fans are willing to have the live service games, multiplayer games, be multi-platform. Sea of Thieves. These are the same Xbox fans that when Sea of Thieves, Fallout 76, Elder Scrolls Online, Flight Simulator shows up on the showcase, they're like, get this shit out the fucking way, man. Like, who cares about these games?
Yeah.
So the truth is, the PlayStation games that have the games from Xbox have done well on PlayStation are the live service games. It's Sea of Thieves and Forza. Now you could make an argument that Forza shouldn't go away. I would push back to some extent and say that are Xbox players really gonna be as pain if Forza Horizon is a is a multiplayer game? I think they're willing to take any live service games as multiplayer. In the same way Sony's willing to pull their multiplayer games. I mean, so Sony's biggest multiplayer game is what's that game called again?
Helldivers too.
Helldivers 2. They did it. No one cried about it. No one, the PlayStation fans are still there. They're still happy with PlayStation, right? So even if you put Forza on PlayStation or even on the Switch, I think you can get away with that. It's a legacy IP. I understand it's not the best, but it's a legacy IP. So then the question is, well, even if you want to go further than that, you can say Bethesda games. I think, listen, I'll be honest, Xbox fans are probably even willing to have Bethesda games like Elder Scrolls and Doom, Indiana Jones appear on PlayStation as well. Like overall, like they might not like that one. That one probably is a little bit harder to take. Like they rather have Bethesda games be exclusive, and they'll give up Sea of Thieves because they don't really. That's not really a game that they want. Whereas Bethesda, there's value in Bethesda. So again, I think if Xbox turns around and says, well, every game from Xbox Studios, bar the live service game, is going to be exclusive, I think everyone's happy. I think Xbox is happy. I think Xbox players are happy overall.
My question is like, Ty, like the whole slate though is slated for PlayStation 5. How do you go about undoing that? That's to me when people say the genie out of the bottle. You've already announced your whole slate coming to PlayStation. Are you going to make it timed exclusive? How do you go around that?
The same way that that like, okay, this one's a trickier because there's three things you can do. You can I would suggest, if they're gonna go back to exclusives, I would suggest that they cancel Gears and they cancel Halo, for sure.
When is Halo coming out, guys? Do we have a date for Halo?
Because rumored to be summertime.
And you think what they're gonna reverse that? You think they?
No. I mean, well, the CEO can reverse it, so you can do whatever the hell the CEO wants to do.
Okay. But do you see that happening after they've announced it that it's coming to? Because that's the one that, like, to me, the moment Halo and Gears hit PlayStation, it's lights, bro. Like, you've just now signaled that, like, yeah, the white flag is up. Like,
so Rachie says something really important here. It says, well, first of all, Fuzzy says I'm not convinced that Sony is completely done with PC. I think they'll start it up again after the PS6 gets off to a strong start. True. Rachie says it is out of the bottle. Games are either too expensive and good to be Xbox exclusive, or too bad and can't live on Xbox sales alone. I 100% agree with that sentiment there. However, what I would say here is, I've said this just before, it doesn't matter if you go exclusive. If you don't change the way you fundamentally make these games, if you're going to tell Compulsion that they have 5 or 6 years to make not like an indie like game and spend all that money on that, then forget it. If you're going to tell Double Fine that, like, oh, you guys can keep making games like Keeper and Kiln, forget it. If you tell these studios if you tell Ninja Theory that no, it's okay, you can make a sequel to Hellblade 2, the same type of game, same kind of vibes, then forget it. You're right, Richie. These games will, like, the reason why these games are on multi-platform is because they didn't do the numbers on Xbox, and they don't do the numbers on Xbox because they're not good enough. And guess what? When they go on PlayStation, they don't do the numbers there either because they're not good enough games. So I agree with you. But if Asha said, I've gone to all these studios and I'm asking them, why aren't these games selling that well? Why aren't they doing that well? And she has like a system in place to make sure these titles are console selling titles. They're gonna score metacritically high. They're being managed properly, and then from there on, you can actually build your ecosystem. Then perfect. Because don't forget, Phil didn't go third party until recently. Sacha was all in on his vision of exclusives. The only problem was the exclusives weren't coming, and when they did come, they didn't sell or bring in Game Pass players.
Okay.
So he's not against the vision. He's just saying, where are the receipts? Where are the margins you promised me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And if Asha says, hey, listen, I saw where he messed up. I'm giving you now, because maybe he was your friend, he was your homie, so you didn't really ask so many questions. Here's a spreadsheet. Here's a 1,000-page document on how this is going to go. If you choose option 1, Satya, we go multi-platform, it's all good. You choose option 2, we start to bring in people to an ecosystem with exclusives. And it's a long-term play, but overall it's a better play, which I think he's more willing to sacrifice. I'll take that risk. Let's go again. I trust you as a CEO, because that guy, the last guy, messed up. That's why I think you can do it. Yeah. So I don't think the genie's out of the bottle. I mean,
okay.
They haven't done anything. They haven't released Fable on PlayStation. They haven't released.
Yeah, but like it's announced. So my thing is they've already committed.
Who cares about announcement?
Sorry.
Who cares about announcements?
Xbox. I mean, like they've committed to bringing these games on PlayStation. Up until now, they've communicated that everything is going everywhere, and they've not said anything to the contrary.
You can always.
We'll get to that. So guys, thank you for joining. Please hit the like, and if this is your first time here, please hit subscribe as well. This marathon game is a very unique art style. Hey, I can see it putting off some people and some people liking it, but it's very, very specific in terms of what they went for here. I recognize Oni. For all of you hardcore Bungie fans, you'll remember the fighting game for the Dreamcast PC back in the day called Oni. Was it Dreamcast, PS2, and PC that game was released for? Fighting game with the hot babe, police with the blue armor. It was a reference to this Oni computer, I think. But yeah, so Taye, since you are for the strategy, so tell us, let's say we go to an alternate reality and you've made it in life, and congratulations, you're super successful. You're Asha Sharma's boyfriend. How would you advise it to bring Xbox exclusives back?
How would I bring Xbox? Sorry, Fuzzy says Killing is still exclusive though. Xbox is back. True. Reggie says Keeper is great, but I'm telling you, it feels like an AI generated walking sim. Maybe. What was the question, Ashes?
If in another reality you had made it in life and you were Asha Sharma's boyfriend, and then she says, Taye, you play these games. How do I make Xbox games exclusive again? What would you tell her? What would your
I would just say the exclusive. End of story. Like I don't think this is that hard. I think it's hard if obviously there's a revenue play here and it's short-term revenue thinking, sure, but if it's long-term play, then just say we're
but they need to have a strategy, don't they?
Yeah, okay, so the strategy always comes back to the games. I would say that first and foremost, they will need all these studios again to make sure that they're efficient and they are making console selling games. You need, you look at what Pentiment did, for example, and you say, can we upscale that, change the art style, and make it more of like something that's like akin to Dispatch, right? That's going to pull in some, players. Okay, that's cool. Let's do that. You're going to tell the studios like, yeah, no more 5 years, 7 years game. Like you're going to have to get a project manager who can manage you very, very well. So that's another point. Yeah, when it comes to art style and gameplay and all these other things, you're gonna have to run it through a team of I don't want to say players, but like a team we're gonna create that's going to evaluate these titles, and then they'll make a decision on what you should kind of change or not. We're actually gonna like manage these titles. We're gonna make sure you're the best version of yourself, and make sure creativity doesn't actually hurt the brand at all. And the same way how Jaffe was able to say to like, yeah, PlayStation Manage, in the same way Cory Barlog was able to say PlayStation Manage, in the same way Nintendo employees were able to say Nintendo Manage. Xbox needs to do that. Once you have that done, and you're going back to Marvel and they're like, yo, we want to make an Indiana Jones 2. Maybe you're saying, yeah, can we get X-Men? Yeah, can we get Deadpool? Like,
from who? From Sony?
No. I mean, like maybe X-Men is gone. Like I don't know if Sony has X-Men. They have Wolverine.
They have X-Men, yes. It's part of the titles that Insomniac is slated to make or start working on. When
wasn't that cancelled
2 years ago? X-Men was one of the titles that was.
No, I think it was a live service game.
I don't know. I can't remember, but I remember.
I think it was a live service game and it got cancelled. So I think maybe it might still be there for availability. But I'm just saying, like, Indiana Jones is not the title to necessarily get. Like, look, Rachel says a Spanish Inquisition dispatch Pentiment game. Like, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Smart decisions. Hellblade 2. Well, no, let's not make Hellblade 3. How about we make a new IP? Or like with the same cinematics, and we kind of make it like we include combat into the game. We include a streamlined story. We include the ability for maybe Senua or whatever to go on a horse and talk to locals. So it becomes like a God of War / Witcher / Hellblade 2 game. It keeps the Hellblade 2's cinematic graphic prowess, but it takes the gameplay of a God of War / Witcher. And it doesn't have to be like a huge game where like it's a huge open world. It can be quite small. You can go to like maybe a town to town, like maybe like small towns.
Yeah.
But make it interactive. Make Senua talk. Make the story not just about Senua going crazy, but like a real life story. Like there's so much decisions you can make that is going to lead to more sales.
Okay, so like to me that looks like a long-term plan because now we're looking at the entire library. I'm saying in the next year or so, because you need to build up momentum. She's doing all the small things, but like I'm saying, like, so what do? You just when do you announce that you're cutting? Like for instance, with Forza is the only game where they said it's launching on PlayStation later. They didn't disclose the date, but it's gonna come out on Xbox first. And my second question is, just to close off the subject as well, or this topic, is then do you make them timed exclusive or do you make them permanent exclusives?
No, you're doing permanent.
Oof, I don't see that happening, to be honest with you.
You're doing, I think there's two arguments here, right? You can do permanent exclusives, and then maybe you have data that shows that like I'll give you an example. Starfield can't do anything for Xbox because if in order for you to kind of go back towards being exclusives, you can't be dropping like one game a year. There needs to be a cadence of exclusive titles on a regular basis that is going to build up momentum. So Starfield going multi-platform doesn't actually affect anything whatsoever because everyone who wanted it has gone it. No one's buying an Xbox to play Starfield really at this moment. And even if like you went back to being exclusives, no one is thinking about Starfield like that. But you need the cadence. So you can put Starfield as more multi-platform if you want. So I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I think what you should be looking at right now is saying Fallout 3 remake, Elder Scrolls 6, Fallout New Vegas 2, whichever one's coming out, and along with the Xbox Studios making titles, and then remember you have a partnering arm as well, and then you can start partnering games again. Go back towards trying to purchase these exclusive games. Go back towards trying to find these hidden gems like a S.T.A.L.K.E.R or a Dispatch. Try to get these titles. You got Power World, remember? That was exclusive to yours.
So you think this is You think it's going to be profitable, Ty?
It's not about profitability. It's not profitable short term, but from a long term perspective, it is. And if your goal is to grow your brand, this is not to say you can't grow your brand without exclusives, but it's to say that like exclusives are another pillar that you could use and advertise to grow your ecosystem.
So I'll tell you this, right? But I don't believe this will happen. If they brought back exclusives to Xbox, that would make me possibly consider, that's the strongest possibility where I would consider going back onto the brand. That would restore some of my trust as someone that feels that Xbox as a brand failed me as an Xbox, someone that supported Xbox for almost over 15 years now. So it could change, like it would change how I feel about the brand. But to be honest with you, Ty, like I'm very jaded about the subject. Probably the wrong person to ask, but I don't see them doing it. Like to me, it would be, it just sounds too good to be true. But we'll see what happens in June if they start signaling anything like that. But for me, the moment Halo is on a PlayStation controller, cancel Christmas. It's done. That's just my sort of like feeling as someone that's jaded in terms of like Xbox's decision making in the last 5 years, 5 to 15 years actually. But anyways,
I think it does do some damage when it's like, I mean, like, from a different point of view, like it does do something when Halo and Gears pop up there. But I would always go back to this point. If those titles do show up, and then Helix comes out in 2027, and she says every game from here on in is exclusive, but like Xbox originals. We know Halo showed up on a different platform. People can say like, oh well, it showed up on a different platform, so who cares? It's like nobody cares about that. Is it a good game or not? That's all that matters. Like at some point, Crash Bandicoot was PlayStation exclusive. GTA was a PlayStation exclusive. Like all these titles were PlayStation. Metal Gear Solid was a PlayStation exclusive to many people out there, and then they started showing up on different platforms. Like the question is, it doesn't matter if GTA is a multi-platform game. If GTA goes exclusive to PlayStation, people are gonna buy a PlayStation to play the game. Like I think sometimes we harp on this very sentimental point of views, which they have some kind of weight from a emotional or maybe even console world, like metric. But if a title is good, it's good. And I'll give you an example. No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk probably had some of the worst releases ever. Death threats, gamers hated them. Not like the two best-selling games, because people will always forgive you if the game is good. There was, I think, it might have been 2021 where Xbox was on fire, right? They dropped Forza, they dropped Halo. Everyone was like, "Yo, yeah. Game Pass was doing." Everyone was happy, and then I think it was on 2022 that everything just collapsed. They released Redfall, then they closed Tango. They started doing all these other things that kind of like annoyed the fans. But the same way you're annoying them, if you do right by them and you do well, they'll come back. They'll support you.
This one is gonna be. I'll file this under wait and see. Yeah. To me, that would be her greatest achievement. If she can do that, that will be, to me, effectively, if she can put the genie back into the bottle, that would be her greatest achievement. From
this is a remake won't sell consoles, but it will sell a lot of copies and grow the Fallout brand if it's everywhere. That is true. There is like, this is about Bethesda. I think you can make an argument that like these titles can stay, they can stay multi-platform, but at the same time, I also feel like if the Fallout TV show is coming out, imagine you drop Fallout, like Fallout 5 is here. I think that does sell Xboxes, especially if you want to make some kind of like sale, like some kind of like console edition where you make it really, really cheap. I think that will sell for sure. And maybe what you can do is like, okay, well, it's a Bethesda games could be time exclusives, right? So you release Fallout 5 on Xbox as an exclusive. You don't tell anyone what's happening. And then when season 5 of Fallout is coming out, then you match it up with PlayStation, and then you get your sales there. Like, I'm just kind of speaking from a, like, there's different strategies here that you could employ. Just, I don't believe this idea that the genie's out of the bottle, it's too late. It's like, why? Who's saying this? Like, where are we getting this from?
Again, this just comes from precedent. Everything is based on precedent. We've been down here before. The moment a platform holder puts their games third party, they've never gone back. So like, and
No, but we don't
again,
have that many. We don't have much evidence of that though.
we do. Like, I mean, we have Sega, we have Atari, we have every console manufacturer in the past. The moment their games went third party, the company, in terms of console, from a console business perspective, folded, and all the things that Xbox was indicating that now we're going
But I
multi-platform.
would say that the reason why those happened is because they had to, because we're going out of business. Like it was default. It's
Well,
like, yeah, we're going out of business.
well, Sega was going out of business, but a lot of the other companies, if you go back to the 90s, they were not necessarily going out of business.
Atari,
They just pivoted.
you sure?
Let me think.
I think they're all done. Like they all had to do it. They're all forced to do it.
Let's see.
Like the reason why everyone's angry at Xbox isn't because they felt like they were forced to do it. Isn't because they had to do it. It's because people feel like they just gave up without actually trying. And the funny thing is, like, they don't even like, they're still making a console, so it's almost like, wait, what's going on here? Like, you guys are not
okay.
Third party.
The one example I can think of is Neo Geo, who didn't go out of business at the time when they made all their games. They still produced consoles, but they put their games on other platforms. Like they put their games on Sega Saturn, they put their games on PlayStation, they put their games not necessarily on Nintendo, but on other platforms. But like traditionally, that's sort of like how it goes. But again, even though Xbox is not going out of business, they've made it clear that they're transitioning out of the console business. So we can still have more parallels there than there's no example to prove or to sort of like motivate towards the points that you're making either. So we are somewhat in no man's land when it comes to this. It's uncharted territory, but I just think like if I look at like the messaging from Xbox up until this point, and I look at like the fact that everything is still like, even if I look at like their announcement at GDC, everything seems to be skewed towards they had that whole slide that said console PC, and then it had like our games on PlayStation 5. They had like Switch 2, Xbox. So none of that to me tells me that this is someone that is saying that exclusive to, because again, for you to say you're exclusive to Xbox, you just have to come out and say it. Like, why are you holding those cards back if that's not what you intend to do? Like, why would you wait to announce that? Like, why would you take time? Whereas if you can start building the momentum now, to work to your favor. Nothing they've done so far has indicated that they're interested in doing that.
Because I think what's really important here is marketing, and I think knowledge is also key. So when I say marketing, it does nothing for you to say, oh, everybody from here on in we're back to being exclusive. You're not going to sell consoles. Like, you're not really, it doesn't do anything. I think if you were to announce this at a showcase, or even better, you announce this at the reveal of the Helix, I think everyone's like, oh, okay, maybe I need to get this device again. And
so,
I would even go further and say, you could listen. Don't be afraid to throw the previous administration of the Series X and S under the bus. Don't be afraid to say don't be afraid to say to yourself, like, hey, when we revealed the Xbox Series X and S and we showed you a demo, we showed you Hellblade 2, and it wasn't like actual gameplay. Here's what Ninja 3 is working on. Hellblade 3. Playable. Launching day one. Exclusive. Here's this other title. Like, don't be afraid to start to flex and say, like, we messed up in the past. Don't, like, listen, it might sound bad, but don't be afraid to say Phil fucked up. I ain't fucking up. Because I think you say that, like, when I saw, the tweet about Asha saying, we've worked on some of the things that the Xbox console fan base has been requesting, which is the quick resume stuff. The amount of people who are saying, yo, hold up, this has been a request from back in the day. Wait, you mean the previous guys didn't like care about this? What were they doing all this time? They were turning on these guys. Don't be afraid to be like, yeah, they didn't care. I care. Like, don't be afraid to lean into this. And I think that's when it's the right time to start to, like, talk about these, like, oh, this is going to be exclusive, whatever it is. It might not be, obviously, we're kind of engaging in a hypothetical here, but I don't think you need to say it now, because it does nothing now, especially if you're saying to yourself, we've already made the Fable version of PS5. So just canceling now, just a waste of money. We've already made the Horizon version. Canceling is a waste of money. We've already made the Halo version. Canceling is a waste of money. So let's release these things first and have it associated with the previous era. And then when the Helix drop, which is my era, it's all exclusive again. You could
again, like my only thing again, like going into I'm gonna go to chat quickly, but just before we go to chat. My only thing again is that even if you look at like the Helix strategy is basically saying that we're now making PC games, which again further demotivates from there being exclusives, because now you're making games available on Steam, on PC. Like your focus now is making sure that you have one version, which is the PC version. How do you make that exclusive? Like to me, I would love to see that strategy, because it's never been done before, where you're making PC games, inverted commas, exclusive. So again,
but wait. I mean, aren't there many PC exclusive games to Steam?
Like?
And that negates Epic and GOG.
Like
Alan Wake 2 is a PC exclusive to Epic.
Yeah, but it's not an exclusive game. Like, it's available on every platform. Just on PC, when you play it, you can only play it on the Epic Game Store. But if you wanted to play, I don't know if it's available on the.
I mean, but I guess my question is, would you not say that Neo 2 is an exclusive? It's on PC and PlayStation. Would you not say even Conquer was an exclusive? It was on PC and PlayStation. Like any PlayStation / PlayStation.
But like, my thing is, there's
right?
only one version. There's not even a console version, because again, like for Helix, the only version that's going to exist is the PC version. We don't understand yet how that's going to work from the Xbox storefront versus the Steam storefront. They've not given us clarity on that, but they've made it clear that they're going to continue to support this.
True. But I guess my point would just be like, I think it's semantics now, because at the end of the day, I have a PC, you have a PC, Rich has a PC, Fuzzy has a PC, and when Starfield came out on the Xbox, we all called it an exclusive. So what will be the difference here?
Yeah, but like, you don't have a console anymore. You own all, like you understand what I'm saying? Like, are you saying, okay, cool, you're getting,
but the Helix will be masquerading as a console?
Okay, cool, fair enough. But at the end of the day, are you saying then that you're not going to put that game on PlayStation? You're just going to make it a PC game?
Yeah. I mean, if they go down this route, yeah. But here's the thing. I think the most convincing argument not the most convincing, but like Fuzzy makes a very good argument here. Where he says they can't do exclusives with a 1,000 console. They don't have to completely.
That's true as well.
It's like,
that is
bro, you're gonna sell 10 million copies, 10 million consoles. Like you can't be exclusive. And to that argument, I say, you know what, this Fuzzy guy is just, the podcast is done. He's kind of said his point. No. So yeah, I think you can still, but
so you cut out. Sorry, like let's go to Fuzzy's point. So you cut out Steam, and then you don't have PlayStation. So you just release for this unique.
Oh no! I don't think you cut out Steam, really. I think you, like, it's so interesting because there's so many things Xbox can do based on what Asha finds out, and based on how Satya is willing to go again in terms of trust, or what's actually like, or what the numbers are saying. You don't call out Steam. You keep Steam there. However, you release your games obviously on your PC platform and your console, with Steam, and you hope that these three is enough. These three pillars are enough to get in users, and because you're also trying to acquire new users with different metrics, so with different points, that could be marketing, that could be doing deals with of Netflix. We might get into that later on. You do these different things. You start to grow the user base, small by small, a large portion by large portion, and then once you start to do that, the harm of putting it on PlayStation starts to get mitigated. But I would say this, like the money from PlayStation isn't even there. Like it's not like, they dropped all these amazing titles on PlayStation and now they're gonna like take it away. Outer Worlds 2 didn't do anything amazing to justify putting Outer Worlds 3 on PlayStation. Pentiment didn't do the numbers either. Neither did Doom. Neither did Indiana. Probably didn't do crazy numbers either. Like there's nothing here that is happening. The only title that has probably done well enough on PlayStation where you might be like, do we really want to take that away is Horizon. Probably like 5 million sales. But again, that's a live service game. Just leave it there. Put Horizon 6 there as well. It's a live service game. No one cares. Okay, what's the next biggest Xbox title?
What about Fable? Fable is coming to PlayStation guaranteed though. Like that's to me their biggest. That is to me their second biggest sort of like killer app since Starfield this generation.
So I was going to Rome about this, and Roman Dev, the guy I'm on the Discord, and they said actually, and this might be a thing, that you could do a Trojan. Maybe it's already made, so we're going to release these titles there. Cool. However, now we announced that Fable is going to be exclusive. Do some PS fans who are really big into Fable, who like, let's say it's a great game, do they say to themselves, oh man, it's exclusive now, Fable 2 is exclusive now? Do they go buy an Xbox? Do they go buy it in your storefronts just to get access to it? Maybe. It's possible. I'm not saying that's a strategy that I would use per se, but it's still a tool that can work.
Okay. All right. So when do you predict, so that we can just wrap up? So when do you predict Xbox announcing bringing back exclusives?
No, I don't think they're gonna do it. Sorry, I don't think they're gonna do it. But if they were to do it, I think
this guy we just had like a
yeah, they ain't doing it. Like the money's too good, bro.
I don't think they're gonna do it.
The money's too good, bro. But I think if they were gonna do it, I don't think Showcase is a great place to do it because I don't feel that way. I think releasing the Xbox Helix would be a great place to do it. Yeah. And I think you would need to release exclusives with the Helix. Like it can't be a case of like, oh, like the Xbox Series X and S. Like you said it yourself, it's one of the only consoles to come out with no exclusives. Like you need to show them like, no, we're so different. So we're gonna release and you could put Ninja 3 right now and say like, listen, you guys make demos, so how about you just make a demo that actually has combat and make it like day one? Because Hellblade 2 should have been a demo. It should have been a day one game. But it wasn't. It came out 4 years later. Like what a joke.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's go to the chat. So Fuzzy says they can't do exclusives with $1,000 console. They'd have to completely change their next gen plans. That's a very valid point. Osh's PC is done. People don't have cash for ray tracing cards. People buy consoles because they don't have cash for RTX. And that's another valid point, Rach, is that PC, a lot of people love to pull jockey PC, the PC good guys, the PC mafia, as I would like to call them. They like to pretend like PC is in this happy space where everything is working out. This is the worst PC generation of I think since I started playing video games. Things like memory, like secondary, like accessories for your PC, like memory, are like so expensive that they actually affect your decision whether you decide to build a PC or not. Things like, for instance, graphics cards are not necessarily getting better, to the point that Nvidia is bringing back the 3060. Imagine that. And they're probably not going to give you the 12 gig version. Knowing Nvidia, they're going to give you the 8 gig version of the 3060 when they re-release that hardware from 2020. And then Reichi says they are releasing DirectX 13 and Helix at the same time. Something is changing. Maybe Reichi would have to wait and see. Fuzzy says Fallout 3 and New Vegas are already console exclusive to the Xbox this gen. Isn't that a lot? It didn't help. So I think that is why they're actually going to do the New Vegas and the Fallout 3 remakes, Reichi, is to tap into that untapped 93 million PlayStation 5 users that miss playing New Vegas and Fallout 3, and they can't access it through cross-gen or backwards compatibility. Fuzzy says PC prices aren't really as bad as you think for pre-built stuff, at least. Look, again, I know that when it comes to PC, if you are sort of like accustomed, to sort of like bargain buying and hunting for deals, and you know the right places to go to, that's the thing about PC. There's always a lot of variety. There's always a lot of options in terms of like how you get into it. Even me, like I got into like a very like very very affordable entry level point, and at the same time I'm still getting maximum value out of it. So there's always ways to work around it. However, in terms of if you want to buy things brand new from the likes of AMD and who's this Nvidia, like those guys are not doing us any favors as gamers. They're making it very difficult to be optimistic. DLSS 5 for the future of PC gaming. So PC gaming has its own challenges. It has its own challenges. Yes, I know PC gaming is growing, but there were stats that were released earlier this year to saying even that is stagnating. It's not growing as fast as it was previously. And again, we can later on. This is not something I had on the agenda, but we can talk a little bit about what happened with the likes of Fortnite and the layoffs at Epic Games. All right, cool. So, guys, if you are here for the first time, please hit that subscribe button, and also like, and please feel free to participate in the conversation. All right, Ty. So we're gonna move on from Xbox. I think we've covered most of the things I wanted to talk about. Just like some of the moves that Asha is making. I think okay, cool. Let's move on to the Netflix slash Xbox connection or Game Pass connection. What do you see that being, that partnership? Like, because she's working on something there with Netflix. What do you see that being?
I think the easiest way to go about this is an add-on, and I think this shouldn't be too much of a surprise because there are actually add-ons already. I think in the UK, if you sign up to certain networks, you get Game Pass free or maybe like a cheaper deal. Yeah. There's nothing really here, and there've been bundles before, even like within an ecosystem, right? So Disney has bundles for their Hulu services, Disney Plus, ESPN, etc. So there's nothing here that is really out of the ordinary. I guess the question is who's really benefiting from this, and if I was Asha, for example, I wouldn't be interested really in a deal that is involving Netflix, because Netflix is such a huge platform, and you could almost say for certain there are Xbox gamers who have Netflix. Probably all of them have Netflix, and if you want to do some kind of deal like, hey, if you have Netflix and Game Pass, everything will be cheaper overall. I'm paying for Netflix. I have Game Pass. If you're gonna make it cheaper for me, you're just losing out on revenue. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. Doesn't make business sense. So what you need to do is somehow get the Netflix guys who are more casual, more chill, to want to sign up. And one way you could do it is just by saying you have to have a whole new account. And maybe the Xbox Game Pass guys are not like interested in creating a whole new account, right? So that's a way to maybe mitigate that to some extent.
Yeah.
What really makes sense to me, if something does happen, is to incorporate Game Pass into Netflix. And there will be a tab where it will have games. And when that tab is there, you would basically be using Azure X Cloud to play these games. Now, if you have a TV that's strong enough, powerful enough, whatever it is, maybe it could be locally done. I don't know if you've seen Game Hub, which is basically it takes your mobile games and mobile files them. But I think that's not like gonna happen here. So what makes sense is you're gonna use cloud gaming, and for everyone who is on Netflix to see this tab there, you gotta advertise it first and foremost, and then give them the opportunity to play these games. Before you do this though, you need to make sure the cloud thing is better, because first impressions can be last impressions. If you do that, you're gonna have Netflix players actually trying cloud gaming, and that's going to open them up towards gaming. Maybe pick out some good games. It could be Fallout, for example, right? Maybe do a deal with Netflix where Halo's back there. Make one of your IPs show up and then advertise the game beside it. Now the question is, how does Microsoft make money here? Are these Netflix users who are getting this for free? Now they get more people into Game Pass, but doesn't mean it turns into revenue. What you're hoping for is they might get into the microtransactions, or it kind of grows Game Pass as a medium, as a value proposition. Yeah. And then some of these people can, the kids can start to migrate into the actual payment structure. They can start to migrate into downloading the app on the phone, downloading the games on the Xbox potentially, and then maybe even on PC as well. So that could be the play here. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of financial money being exchanged, and Microsoft does benefit in some way, shape, or form. I haven't really worked out how that's going to play out, but there is a way where both parties are winning a lot. Because for Netflix, it's a huge value proposition. Gaming is big, and when Netflix wants to make their own, something that you could actually do is this as well. You could incentivize it. And what I say that is Netflix streams, so they use online technology, maybe as they get a discount on Azure, they get discounts on the other side of things. And Netflix that's actually a really good incentive, because we got the biggest streaming platform and there's a lot of money to be made of using your servers, but if you're going to give us a discount, sure, put your service there. That could be. I think there's an opportunity here that I never really thought about. With cloud, so yeah, there's something here that could happen.
So,
what are your thoughts?
I think I told you this. My visions are always a little bit grandiose. So for one, Netflix, I'm pretty sure is busy working on the Gears of War series. I think it's going to be a series on Netflix. I think for me, not cross merchandise, what they call this, not cross branding, but sort of having Netflix have exclusive first rights or first dibs at making series based on Xbox IPs, i.e., they're doing the Gears of War thing. Maybe you give them Fable. That would be, for me, that would be the killer show. And I would actually, release it just after the game, or try and, release a mini series to launch parallel to the game or close to the game, even if it's after, to just help promote and market that. Look at how well the marketing has worked with Fallout. With no new Fallout games. That is what I would double down on and say, okay, cool. With Netflix is, if you want to watch Xbox based TV or movies, you're going to find them on Netflix. We're working with Netflix to bring some of your favorite franchises to cinema or to TV. And we're going to do that with Netflix. And I would, as I said, what's this? First, I would do, okay, Gears is coming, definitely Fable. And then I would also tap into something like Forza.
and I would do what they did back in the day with Forza 4 and do like a Top Gear type of show that is based around Forza. I think there's a huge market for, especially from car enthusiasts, and currently Netflix doesn't have a show like that. Shows like that are on Amazon, they're on all these other streaming channels. So definitely, I see there being potential, and of course, franchises like Halo as well. You can relaunch that since Halo the series did drop on Netflix recently. Do the next seasons. Reboot the show, do it on Netflix. It's a Netflix exclusive or a Netflix original. So I would say Netflix originals partnering up with Xbox Studios to bring your favorite games to film. That would be my strategy, and then we see how we then synergize that into helping promote Game Pass and the rest of other of Xbox's other gaming endeavors. That would be my approach. I think there's a lot of potential there, and again, Fallout has shown just how popular these franchises are, and even games like Starfield, like geez, a Starfield TV series, huge potential there. Dude, like Call of Duty, like the list is endless in terms of what they could do. All blockbusters. If I look at like just like for instance the fact that this movie War Machine with the Reacher guy, did so well. All those that really opens it up for you to do stuff like that. But instead of just doing generic IPs, now you're doing Xbox specific IPs with built-in audiences. It's a win-win.
I think you made a good point there with the when you said that you could focus on the IPs like cross promotion. Starfield is a good shout, and it actually made me think even Minecraft is a good shout, and you know the Arcane. Arcane is owned by ABK, right? No, it's not.
Arcane.
No, it's not. I don't think it. No, it's not.
Owned by Bethesda. Wait,
No,
you mean
wait. The Netflix show, but it's not. Don't worry about it. Like it hit me that like if you do like a Starfield TV show, for example, and it's on Netflix as an exclusive, like, and it's a really good show, and the fact that like you say like, oh, play a Starfield game right now on Netflix, like you press a button and then you're streaming it to yourself. Same thing for Gears of War. Same thing for maybe even like Minecraft. Like the movie did well. Give Netflix first dibs on the movie. Tell them to get first dibs as well on Minecraft 2. Tell them to get Minecraft dungeons and Minecraft all the other Minecraft. Like you could do this. Like you're right.
I thought you were talking about Arcane Studios. Oh, you mean like the game?
No, I meant the TV show. Yeah,
the based on the video game. Oh yeah, no, that is a Tencent IP. It's a.
But I will say I think cloud is very important here. I think cloud gives you so much opportunity to do things that at least to cross promote yourself in a way you wouldn't have before. Just tell the people like, hey, do you have a Bluetooth controller? Pair it up with a TV, whatever it is, and start gaming.
Agreed. Like there's a lot of ways to sort of like monetize that or get value out of that, and also build new audiences and get more mainstream, because Netflix is so big that you're definitely going to adopt new audiences from a gaming perspective based on how these shows do and how they track. I mean, if something like an unknown IP like War Machine can do so well for Netflix, imagine IPs that already exist, that already have like almost like dedicated fans from gaming, how well those would do. All right. Okay, cool. So we're gonna move on to the next subject. Tai, this was trending earlier on in the week. Nintendo cuts Switch 2 productions. Nintendo cuts Switch 2 production, I believe by 30% in the West. What's happening with Nintendo, Tai?
This one is an interesting article because I'm like, I know people are like already saying like, this guy's full of shit. Like he doesn't know nothing, So, but let's say this is true. I would say that the cut is probably not due to. I mean, they might have been very overzealous about how much they're going to make, and they're realizing now that the tariffs are an issue. I mean, like, remember, they're suing the U.S. government. They're trying to say, like, yo, like, you messed us up. So there's probably something there that they feel like they should have been making more money, and they've been eating these costs, right? Maybe they also have confirmation that the new Zelda game or whatever they're making has been delayed. Like, who knows? And they don't think they're gonna be the switches aren't gonna be pushing out as much, or they just want to be sued out. But anyways, to the main point you said, it's very much possible that the Switch is doing very well in the United States and just isn't doing well really everywhere else from a numbers perspective. And that could be for different reasons. You could say inflation, sure. You could say Nintendo always excelled when the devices were quite cheap, and now like the Switch 2 is quite expensive in comparison to their previous consoles. So there. And you could say that maybe people are just not as crazy into the idea of the hybrid model anymore. Because at the end of the day, I've always kind of pushed this that a lot of people got it because it's a very interesting device and it was quite convenient. However, there was still a level of gimmickness to it, something that attracted you. Oh, this is different. Let me purchase it. I think those kind of gimmicks work well really once a generation. And the examples I've kind of given before in the past is the DS. The DS did really well. It was 2 screens, microphone, touchscreen. Then look at the numbers of the 3DS. The end was hot. I think it's all even less than half. Look at the Wii. Great gimmick. Everyone loved it. Families all jumped aboard. Then the sequel, the Wii U, the end of the numbers. The Switch is the funny thing is the Switch is just it has a gimmick nature to it, but it's a gimmick that actually makes sense. I kind of said this as well before. The DS and the Wii and the Wii U or whatever, they were trying to change the way you play your games. Here's a joystick. No, forget the joystick. Use the touchscreen instead. It's so much cooler. Here's a controller, a Wii remotes, like motion, instead of using a joystick. They're trying to do these things. And ultimately, gamers, I don't say they rejected it, but gamers were like, no, like it was cool and fun to do that with my kids, my parents, my aunties, my uncles, my grandparents. But the truth is, I just want a controller. I want your standard DualShock or Xbox Elite controller. And so those were trying to change the way you play the games or whatever. But with the Switch, it wasn't trying to change the way you play the games. You were interacting with the games the exact same way. It was just changing where you can play your games and give you accessibility. And that was a key selling point. So it's hard to say that's really a gimmick per se. But nonetheless, I think even that selling point doesn't hold as much weight as it does now. So that might...
But like if I'm looking here, right? It says the reason for this is primarily because of weak US demand. Do you think this whole thing of Nintendo having very poor first-party support, especially from the West, is probably maybe the primary culprit for them doing so poorly? I think you're muted, Taya.
Sorry, I don't believe that they're doing bad. I just think it's not meeting their expectations. And I think they're lacking the big games, as Fuzzy says. They haven't had any big games yet, and Nintendo's basically 100% dependent on their big first-party IP to sell their consoles. Since the hardware is so weak. That's a really good point, and I think this is actually what really helped them in the previous generation as well. Because if you think about it, the GameCube came out, and then the Wii came out. The Wii is pretty much the GameCube. It's not significantly more powerful.
That was
then
like
the Wii U came out
together.
Yeah. Then the Wii U came out, and the Wii U was powerful, but it didn't. I don't think it did crazy leaps as well. Like it was able to transition, and then from the Wii U to the Switch, they're similar enough. They're not that different, right? Whereas Xbox is doing like Xbox with the Xbox 360, then the Xbox One, and yeah. So I think that makes game development harder and more costly. Whereas Nintendo has kind of been able to operate in this kind of, we don't need to go all out and we can make cheaper titles. And plus, because the kind of games that they make by nature are like that. Animal Crossing, Zelda, cell shaded, Mario, cartoony. It allows them to, skip the high graphics fidelity and focus solely on aesthetics.
Yeah.
But now that they've migrated to the Switch 2, they probably know that they need to step up a little bit more. And because they need to step up a little bit more, these games are going to take longer to make. So they're not always going to be ready on time. But overall, I think it'll be interesting to see what they say at the investors meeting. I can imagine them saying that, yeah, maybe we are dealing with some weak demand due to cost of living, inflation, and lack of first party titles. I wouldn't be surprised if they say any of those points, to be honest. But you let me know. Why do you think? I mean, does Nintendo even do well in Africa, in South Africa?
So I used to work for a company that distributed that was the official distributor locally for Nintendo, and they're much smaller scale, but they do very well. They do pretty well. They've got a very, very dedicated audience here. Excuse me, to the point that at some point in time we even hosted, executives from Japan. Who came to sort of like see the scale of the operation here in South Africa. So it does well. It does fairly well. It's very limited in terms of like, where it's being sold. They don't have many dedicated stores, but in wide retail, it does well. And their focus is primarily on, of course, moving hardware, moving actual games. And it works. There is a huge market, especially on the younger market. We hosted a lot of, like, for instance, we have Comic-Con Africa, where Nintendo is one of the, or was, when I was still there, one of the biggest, or had one of the biggest stands there, and also had a huge turnout from fans. So yes, to answer your question, it does relatively well. I would go as far as saying that in recent years, it's probably right now doing better in a lot of ways than Xbox. Xbox is almost completely dead. The Series X is no longer available in this country. You can't buy a brand new Series X anymore. It's only the Series S that's available. So no, they do well here. But in terms of like what's happening with them, I mean, I remember we had this conversation before, and your whole thing was like, well, what's going to separate Nintendo going forward from Sony if the hardware is the main selling point and people are already used to the gimmick? It's just another console now. It's just another console like the PS5, like the Xbox. Why should you buy a Switch 2? Like, there is no key selling point. Everyone is used to the gimmick. So now you need to bring the games, and you need to make sure that, there's something about those games that you would want to get them uniquely just on the Switch 2. And unfortunately, I just don't think that value proposition is strong enough for most people. And it doesn't help that Nintendo, their one advantage, in my opinion, is that they could still keep their prices down because their budgets, in my thinking, should have been lower than, say, developing a PlayStation 5 games. But it seems that that's not what they're doing. They were the first ones to, out the gate, try and, get people to pay $80 for games. So I really think they really need to sort of revisit their whole value proposition as to who's their audience. Why should you own a Switch 2 as a player if it just does what the other console does, or all the other big consoles do, besides their first party offering? And I think that's where they are right now. Is they're in a situation where there is no new gimmick. So it's the games that need to sell this thing. And the last game that Nintendo released was what Mario Kart. Wasn't that like the last big release from them?
There is a Pokepedia now recently, like in the US. So some like a week ago or two. I'll say one thing, like not to not to give Nintendo some praise or whatever, because I agree with a lot of things you're saying there. I give them credits because I think that like when I was having this discussion with you guys and I was talking about Nintendo, I was like, with the whole gimmick thing, because I was just really looking at them like, well, why is this device selling and what's the history behind Nintendo? And that's how I came to my conclusion. However, one thing I always said is that they need to court third-party developers and they need the Switch to be powerful. I don't know how they can do that without kind of going out of price, because one of the key selling points was that the devices were always cheap. Mm-hmm. And it was you that actually answered one of the questions for me when you said that it's not necessarily about power per se, like, oh, can this device do all these things? It's the underlying technology that allows you to kind of circumvent some of these things, like, FSSR, all these technological things that can make a game seem like motion blur can make the game run at 60 frames per second or whatever it is. And I thought like, oh, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about technology from that point of view. And when the Switch 2 did come out, I started to see some of these games run on it, like Street Fighter, even Cyberpunk to an extent. And Cyberpunk really surprised me because even though it's not like great, it still hit me that like this was CD Projekt's Red first attempt at porting on the Switch 2.
Yeah, true.
I was like, that's impressive.
And it ran better than the Steam version of the game.
Yeah,
and the PC.
Yeah, and then I started to see more ports, and I was like, and then I mean there was some bad ports and there's some good ports. I saw the Assassin's Creed ports, and I was like, yo, this is good. Like, and this was all these companies' first time using this tech. So I'm thinking, from a long-standing point of view, they've actually done a better job than I thought they would in ensuring the Switch 2 can actually more or less compete with the current gen consoles. And then I started to see more third-party support. Now, I didn't see as much as I thought I would, but I'm more or less like sure that they're going to get these third-party supports. I mean, they're getting Final Fantasy, they're getting Rebirth. So now, when I saw all these things, I said, okay, it's not going to sell as much as the Switch 1, but my equation has changed, that they've put themselves in a decent position to say, because remember actually this question about Assassin's Creed Shadows, back in December before it came out in 2024. I said, you've already taken an L here. Like, there's nothing you could, like, you're gonna lose. How do you mitigate that damage? And I think Nintendo was faced with the same question. How do they mitigate the damage? And I think they've done actually a decent job at mitigating that point. Because again, if Final Fantasy is coming out on the Switch, and then you're probably gonna start seeing, like, would I be surprised if The Witcher 4 was on the Switch? I wouldn't be surprised. Would I be surprised if Starfield is up on the Switch? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if I start to see Xbox games in the future on the Switch as well. Like, I believe that they have enough there. I don't know why they didn't give out these dev kits early on, though. That's the part that's still baffling to me.
And Nintendo being Nintendo. That's my take. Like, I don't see any reason why they didn't do that. Like, it was just them being typical them, and them thinking that, well, we can carry this console like we've carried all our previous consoles. We don't really rely heavily on third-party support. I had a very good point to make about this, and I just kind of lost my train of thought. But yeah, man, like, it's interesting what's gonna happen. Oh yes, this is what I wanted to ask. See, the problem with this whole thing is when Sony drops their portable, because that's the thing. Like, they've got a head start right now, but the competition is coming, dude. Like, the big guns are coming. When Sony drops that portable is meant for one thing. It's not to compete with PC handhelds. It's out there for one purpose, and that's to kill the Switch and take back Japan, because that's the one front I would say that Sony desperately wants to take back, because Sony now, in their minds, they've conquered the home console front. They've defeated decisively, beyond a shadow of a doubt, they've defeated Xbox. Now it's time to go back to their old enemy that actually pushed them out of Japan and also squeezed them out of America when it comes to the handheld and to some degree some of the home. It's just that like the Switch doesn't have enough power, but like they've taken a significant amount of Sony's market share, and Sony wants that back, especially back home. They don't like the fact that the Switch continues to outsell, say, the PS5. So I think when that PlayStation handheld comes out, Nintendo better be on their A game. They better be ready for that, and I don't think they are.
You don't think Nintendo is ready for the PlayStation handheld?
No, I don't think so.
That's a really good point, because I think that's where Nintendo can actually get in trouble. That PlayStation handheld being marketed really well will definitely do some damage. And I think this is kind of why I said to you earlier that like this is one of the reasons why Sony probably started saying let's go back to being exclusive. Like let's get into this war. Like, what are the pulling factors? What are the pillars that we can put to make our device more attractive than the Nintendo Switch? Because right now Japan is a place where Nintendo controls. And if Final Fantasy has not been on the Nintendo Switch, if Resident Evil has not been on the Nintendo Switch, if Pragmatis comes to the Nintendo Switch, if all these Japanese games are coming to the Nintendo Switch, and Japan is primarily handheld focused, there's a guy out there who's saying, why am I getting Pragmata for the PS5 when I can get it for the Switch?
Yep.
And Sony's thinking, yeah, that's not a good question to ask. And then they're even thinking about it in this way as well, saying, well, the Nintendo Switch has exclusives, but if you really deep it, our exclusives are not exclusives because they're on PC, and those Steam guys have a Steam Deck.
Yep.
And then you have the ROG Ally there, and then apparently these Xbox motherfuckers are making a handheld too.
Yep. So it's gonna get real quick for Nintendo, and like I just feel that like they are diminishing their value proposition, and it's things like, for instance, their pricing. Like Nintendo needs to always be the most affordable choice. If I was them, that's what I would aim for, is to have the most innovative games and be the most affordable choice. The moment you forfeit those two pillars, and they can't rely on third parties. Third parties have always betrayed Nintendo since the Nintendo 64. It's not been their strongest suit. When Sony comes in there, you're going to get the best version of GTA 6. In fact, I don't even think GTA 6 will ever come to the Switch 2, because it's just, I don't think the hardware will, well, I mean, if you can run on the Series X, technically it will run on the Switch. But I think you will get that on the on the PS handheld, because it will run PS5 games from what I understand. Then you will get that on the Switch.
Before you jump on to your next point, do you think it comes on the Switch first before PC?
That's a good question. Whew. I can't answer that, Ty. Like,
I think this is an example of where Nintendo can be aggressive. Where Nintendo can actually go over to Rockstar and they just say like, "Yo, how much do you want to put this thing on Switch? Like, how much? To tell us right now. Like, how many devs do you need to hire? How many of these studios do you need us to hire to help you put this title on the Switch, like as soon as possible?" And the thing is, like, I think before in the past, Nintendo would have never ever done this, because I know Todd Howard made a comment about Nintendo, because they asked him a long time ago about like, "Yo, you and Nintendo working together," and he was like, "Yeah, we respect what they do, but they don't really talk to us." Almost saying that like, we made Skyrim, bro. Like, we know you're Nintendo, you do Mario, you do Zelda, but we made Skyrim. And if you think you're too good to approach us to help you, that's fine. But maybe you need to talk. Maybe you need to give us a call, and then we'll talk. So I think the same thing with Rockstar. I think Nintendo needs to kind of get off that ego trip that they have, and they need to realize that like you need to start hitting up these developers. It shouldn't have been Microsoft calling Nintendo saying, "Yo, we want to put games on your platform." It should have been Nintendo being like, "Yo, there's rumors that you guys might be going multi-platform. Like, help us out. Like, what's up?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, so Reichi, so Fuzzy says they haven't had many big games yet, and Nintendo is basically 100% dependent on their first party. This is correct. IP to sell their consoles since the hardware is so weak. Yes, and even with Nvidia's hardware, it's still going to be significantly weak when those handhelds. If both Microsoft and Sony release handhelds, this thing is gonna be super super niche in terms of power. So so I think Reichi's watching the footage in the background, and he's like, "Why are people so hyped over dad simulators?" That's a good question, Reichi. I have a theory about that, and that's the fact that a lot of the people that grew up on the PS2 era are old fathers now. So for some reason, this is their ideal protagonist is a dad that's babysitting and is also a badass. I mean, that's Sony's and all Sony's male protagonists are dads, which and all their female and they've got like a third of their heroes are dads that are male protagonists, and two-thirds of their heroes are female. Uh, so yeah, I can't explain the overcorrection with the female characters, but I can explain the dad thing. I think it's because of the fact that a lot of the people that grew up playing games around the PS2 era are all fathers, so this is relatable to them. So you have, yeah. It is what it is, unfortunately.
I think the
But
dad
it says
one.
we'll be getting grandpa sim. Yes, 100%. There will be old age home. I mean, Kojima, to his credit, has already done that with Metal Gear Solid 4. So he's ahead of the curve when it comes to that. But that is very true.
I
It
think the
seems,
reason why you have the dad situation is there hasn't been probably many stories told like this. I feel like a lot of the video games or the culture comes in cycles. Like I used to say how remember when racing games were like the number one thing? It was
yeah.
literally Need for Speed, Burnout, all these titles. Like it was great. And there was even a time where I feel like fighting games were like the main thing I ever wanted to play. I remember like when I was a kid, it was fighting games I wanted to play. I got everything. Dead or Alive, Bloody War, Tekken, Soul Calibur 2. Like I don't buy Mortal Kombat. I don't buy fighting games anymore. So I feel like and all my friends had fighting games too. And then I had racing games. I had Ridge Racer. I had the PlayStation one, Gran Turismo. I think I did. But I had Need for Speed. I had all these other random racing games. It was cool to race back then. It was cool to be fighting people. And then at some point, things started to shift. And I think it started to shift when, maybe to some extent, when also even platformers like remember Vex, Rayman, Jack and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, and there was a host of other platformer games that I can't even remember the name of, but I purchased a lot of them that were just like random and like maybe low quality. I don't think that really happens anymore, or it does, but like there's just so many games right now that it's not like
Yeah.
the cultural zeitgeist. And then when Skyrim came out, then it was like, oh, it's open world games now,
Yeah.
where you can do whatever the hell you want to do. And then Witcher came out, and it was like, oh, a strong protagonist with a story. Then God of War came out, and it kind of reinforced that. But I think what God of War did is that it gave you a very compelling story about, you're right, it died, but it was told well and it was cinematic. And I think I won't say people could relate, but they could relate to the feelings of Kratos towards his son. And I think that's a phase we kind of found ourselves in. However, that will change soon enough. Like,
Well,
I think it's already changing.
my thing is, this is a very much PlayStation phenomenon. I don't think Xbox doesn't have any dad simulators. Nintendo doesn't have.
But I would say that like it was a PlayStation at the time. They hit it. I'll give an example as well. First person shooters had their moment, and in that moment, Xbox had first person shooters, so they became the popular platform. Now it became third-person action adventure games, and that's what PlayStation were doing. So they became like the lead cultural kind of platform. But my point is, I think this is changing. I think these like you can only tell stories so much before people just don't care anymore. People want something new, and I would even say, think about even like live service games. Everyone hates it, and then Marvel Rivals comes out, whatever, it does well. But even the game that we're talking about now, Pearl Abyss is Crimson Desert. Oh, it's a sandbox Ubisoft tick the box game. No, people are loving that game now. Like, yo, it's fun. It's this, it's that kind of stuff. Who knows? Maybe sandbox games become popular again. But I just feel like these things kind of come in cycles. I would be surprised if. Sorry, let me be surprised. Naughty Dog's next game isn't a dad simulator. Santa Monica's next game isn't a dad simulator. Like, I think one thing I give credit for Sony is that they move on. They understand when the zeitgeist is changing.
Have they though? They're still making girl boss simulators left, right, and center. All their protagonists are girl bosses.
Yeah, so with that one, what I'll say here is that it's almost like Disney, and I don't think there's how do I phrase this one? How do I phrase this one? Girl boss simulator. What does that mean? I don't
like. Am I lying?
No. So okay. Okay, let me see. Fuzzy, help me out here. How do I phrase this? Rachel,
guys, am I lying? Chat, am I lying? Does Sony not like? When is the last time Sony made a game that's not a dad simulator or a girl boss simulator?
Let me see. How do I tackle this? Okay, so here's what I'll say. Overall, the same way we moved from dad simulators or whatever you want to say it, and we started to move towards more maybe female leads. I would argue that these studios, what's happening here is that they're exploring and they're just becoming more open towards different types of characters. You could make an argument that in the past, when they wanted to make maybe female leads, they never got the opportunity. They said, no, don't do that. In fact, there was an article that I read where I think it was Shu Yoshida, where Guerrilla Games said we wanted to make Horizon Zero Dawn. We wanted to make her a female lead. And the people at Sony were not too sure. Then that's it. They actually went to go do a poll. And the poll said that guys don't actually really care. So they can do it. If that was happening back then, you can probably rest assured that like 7 years before that or 10 years before that, there was no poll being taken. It was just, no, you're not doing that. Make it a man and let's keep it moving. So I think my point here is that the Intergalactica was something in motion. Ghost of Yote was something in motion.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be surprised if the next Ghost game is a male lead, or the next game from Santa Monica is a male lead. Don't be surprised if after Intergalactica, the next game is a male lead. But even at that, I think you can still look at the people making the games and understand the kind of people that they are. Because I would always point, like you're right about disagreeing with that, but I also point you to the other side and say, Kingdom Come Deliverance came out, male lead. This patch came out, male lead. Crimson Desert came out, male lead.
Again, these are all obscure games. Like, for instance, I think my focus here is, I'm not saying the gaming as a whole. I think gaming as a whole is sort of transitioning away from the whole girl boss thing. Mm-hmm. But tell me, what's the next God of War game?
God of War. I mean, it's not been announced. No. But hold on. I would put it forward to you that you're right. It's supposed to be a female lead in that title, but the main God of War game is going to be male lead. But like I said, I think these studios in their portfolio, they don't have female leads, so they have like one now or two now, and I think that's what's happening here. So I'm saying
Look,
like in the next 10 years, you won't see
yeah.
as much. You'd actually see maybe like a revert back. So like we can say there's too many girl bosses, but I can see a studio saying to themselves like, well, we don't have a girl boss. We have 4 male characters and we have no females. So we want at least one. I don't
Yeah.
like those guys over there. They might like I don't care what they're doing. I'm telling you, we want one.
So
So I'll give it. Here's a perfect example: Alan Wake 2, female lead, right?
yeah, but they
So
brought in
before,
they hired a new CEO,
but yeah, but
who
before Alan Wake 2, Control, female lead,
female lead, yes,
yeah? And then Alan Wake 2, female lead, yeah.
yeah,
It's not Alan Wake. The Control 2, which is Control Resonance, male
yeah.
lead.
Yeah, male lead. Yeah.
Like
Well, because of the fact that I think
not
for
only is it a
them,
male lead, it's a male lead in a in back to like maybe the classic dynamic of like James Bond, where you have a male lead and you have a female, what would you call her? Helper? No, female. Like remember like you remember Metal Gear Solid. I mean, there was a girl that was
supporting character.
Yeah, supporting character, like Metal Gear Solid, maybe female supporting character, Splinter Cell, female supporting character. Like they've literally gone back to the traditional part of it. None of they've done that yet, but I would even argue that like they made the guy look cool. The way he was talking to her on the phone, it was very like reminiscent of old school dynamics of like a movie. And I'm like, yeah, this feels. And then I'm seeing him fight, and I'm like, okay, now they're even like it's very combat focused. The jokes that they're kind of saying, and they're saying that like, yeah, you can talk to her and talk about music, and even the thing she was like, oh, I'll let you know like soon or whatever it is. It feels very reminiscent of old school. So I'm saying I'm arguing that like things are changing.
Yeah, look, you're preaching to the choir. I have nothing against. I don't like I don't like how I've always said this to you. I'm not a fan of Sony's games because you have to sort of like the sort of way that like they tell their stories for you to like their games. My favorite Sony female lead character was Ellie, and they character assassinated her in Last of Us 2. Like everybody complains about Joel, and I don't really give a crap what happened. Like Joe was not my favorite character from the first game, but the character assassination of Ellie to me made me feel some kind of way. And my problem is that all of their other female characters, in my opinion, are all bland. Like none of them are interesting to me. None of them have character or personality in the same way that like Ellie had. Like Ellie is such a dynamic character, and I love female like leads when they are being written as interesting characters, and not ways to drive a specific perspective of what a female character should be. My favorite character, and I think it's the most dynamic female character you can get, is female Shepherd, because female Shepherd is not played like a female character. She's played like an interesting character. So she has to be interesting regardless of what you choose, whether it's male or female. And I feel that like with Sony is very specific in terms of like how they direct their female leads, and of course they'll always make sure, the one thing that they'll always make sure is that you don't find them physically attractive. That is like, to me, I always feel that like it's a thing that they tick. It's like, nope, she cannot be in any way have any sort of like male gaze to her. She has to be this thing that is completely sort of like, I don't know, like I wonder who they make that sort of character for. Like I always look at that and say, well, I don't think females are necessarily going to want to play this character. A lot of females were or a lot of women or female gamers were more happy to play Eve. Eve is probably their most interesting female character in the sense that she's very different from the mold that Sony typically makes their female characters. Like for instance, Intergalactic is a good example where that chick is hot, but like in the game she's bold, she's she looks very specific. That's the best way I can describe their female characters. Very specific. They're very they remove a lot of the femininity out of them and give them these sort of like masculine characteristics.
I would actually, funny enough, I might be wrong here. So I'm just gonna go on a limb just for the sake of discussion. Not for the sake of discussion, because I think it's true. I would argue that Life is Strange and The Last of Us and Horizon and Ghost of Yote had way more female leads than any of these Stellar Blade, Tomb Raider kind of games.
Okay.
Sorry, not female leads, female players.
Motivate.
As a percentage.
Points, motivate. I said for 50 points, motivate your reasoning.
When I think of a game like Last of Us,
let me be specific, right?
Well, yeah, sorry, maybe specific, or you be specific.
Sorry?
No, I didn't hear your question. What was the question?
Yeah, so I say let me be specific.
Sure.
If you like, for instance, look at the shows, because that's what I'll say, like whenever I say to you feminine, right? And feminine, something that's appealing to a feminine audience or female audience, I look at, like, for instance, TV ratings, and I look at the shows that female audiences are drawn to. And it's shows that are more akin to Stellar Blade than they are to any of the characters that you just mentioned.
Sorry, I couldn't find the mute button. I think that's a fair statement to say. In fact, I think what you could say here is every single female who purchased The Last of Us or Life is Strange or whatever, if those characters were more attractive, would they have still purchased the game? Or would more have purchased the game? Like does it actually matter to the audience? But I wonder, are female players actually even, do they care about these things? I think I don't think they do.
Case in point, Fortnite. Fortnite has probably got a huge female base. Yeah. And what do those female players like?
Kim Kardashian.
Exactly. Like, Kim Kardashian is in the game. Like, for freaking, like, there's no guy that's gonna choose Kim Kardashian to play Fortnite. Like, they've got all these pop stars, they've got all these sort of characters that have that sort of sex appeal. So there's this thing of, like, I really do feel that, like, there's this almost denial, and I wish there was a female voice in gaming that was for this, that's not a grifter, that was sort of like saying, what is the shame of portraying what female audience want in video games, which is feminine characters that wear makeup, characters that wear stunning outfits. Like, sexy to me is stunning to a female audience. They look at that as like, wow, I would love that outfit. This is why Eve is so, like, I've seen so many female streamers playing Eve, and then the first thing that they remark about is how good she looks in those outfits. So I'm like, why are bigger studios ashamed of this? Why is this thing something that for them they shy away from? Like, they don't want the male gaze. They don't want these characters to look attractive, as if like it's only a male thing, as if like female audiences don't like this, which they do. Like, all other entertainment has proven this is what they like. Look at the pop stars who are the most popular pop stars right now that females love. It's going to be like Taylor Swift. It's going to be Cardi B. It's going to be Megan. All these female, like, no dudes just listen to that music. It's mostly female. It's mostly a female audience. Why is it that people don't want gaming for some reason? There's a stigma against this. I'll never understand. Like, I'll never get this thing of like, no, all our characters have to be these serious male prototype, like, women. And I'm like, why? Like, this is not what girls want to play. So the only people I know that really like, I mean, guys will play it, to your point. Guys will play a game as long as it's good and they like the gameplay. Most guys who like video games. But I'm saying that the only people that would like the fact that this character is being portrayed in this specific type of way is guys like Jason Schreier.
So I'm looking at, like, I'll respond to you. Fuzzy says, well, first of all, Richie says, not for me. Fire Emblem Mobile is a nostalgia cash grab. I downloaded it, Rich, and I played it a little bit, and then I kind of just felt like, no, maybe I'd rather play Tree Houses instead. But Fuzzy says, I think Horizon is fairly popular with women, to be fair. He says, Between Two Souls, Richie.
Fair enough.
And Rachel also says, many women like Red Dead Redemption 2 for the horses. Fuzzy also says, I don't think many women are playing S.T.A.L.K.E.R though. Richie says, all guys Ricardo Milos, yet we are not GAE. I'm not sure what that means. Fuzzy says, there's a massive difference between Taylor Swift and S.T.A.L.K.E.R, LOL. So here's what I'll say. I think there was an article or post that says...
Can I just respond to Fuzzy's point there?
Yeah, sure. So, sorry. Go ahead.
Who are the most popular pop stars in the East? Isn't K-pop? And all those women look like who? Like Eve. But anyways, go on. Sorry.
So, I don't know if let me see.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually thinking. Like I feel like. Okay, so here's what I'll say. I don't know if there's a transition between like a Taylor Swift fan and people who like K-pop demon hunters, for example, in the East.
Yes, there you
go. If they would jump towards playing games per se. I think that there might be that's probably a different audience. And I'll give you an example. Females rate higher in games that are more puzzle, family, and fun. So that's why they're very highly for Nintendo. And I think because those are the prevailing factors, the sexual part of it, or sexualization or attractiveness, is the least thing that they care about. So I would actually maybe even say that you're actually maybe even correct, or we're actually on the same page to some extent, that if Aloy is more attractive, I don't think it reduces the female player base. I think it could increase. I'm not too sure about it. I think because I don't think females are ranking attractiveness like that. I think males are. It's on their list higher than females.
Are you talking about gaming or
gaming? Gaming. Yeah, gaming. I think a guy is more likely to want to play a game because there's a sexy female character in it than a woman. I think a girl doesn't think like that. I think they just think like, oh, is it a puzzle game or is it a fun game? I think that's where they primarily focus on overall. Because I know people who like the whole K-pop demon hunter stuff, or that kind of. And this is subjective, obviously, so don't take it as like if I a way to paint a whole group. They're not interested in S.T.A.L.K.E.R. I've actually shown the clip of S.T.A.L.K.E.R, and I was like, I don't like the way she's shown her fanny crotch. She said, like, when S.T.A.L.K.E.R does a little flip in.
Yeah, but you hang around with a lot of feminists.
yeah, no, true. But she was kind of like, doesn't look like a game I'll play. But you know what game she did play? The Last of Us, The Witcher, and Spider-Man. Because those games were fun. And on the mobile phone, it's all pop and fun games. And on the PC, it's Sims. Like the choice of her picking a game to play had nothing to do with attractiveness whatsoever. It was just literally, is this a fun game to play? Like The Last of Us, like 2, like Ellie, like you said yourself, Ellie's not attractive in a conventional sense in that game, and neither is any other character, but they picked it up. They picked it up. They didn't pick S.T.A.L.K.E.R up. They didn't pick any other game. They didn't pick a gacha game up. They went for The Last of Us because it was story driven and it was a compelling emotional story, and they felt the emotion there. So I think those are the main things that will make somebody like want to play. That will make a woman want to pick up a game. At least that's what I think.
Okay, so I'm just looking at the list here. This is from What is this?
Yeah,
Gemini.
Rachel says if Aloy was an attractive woman, we'll be spending time unlocking all the customizations to pay Barbie dress up.
Yeah.
You see, and I think that's really important because if you say, "Hey, Aloy, we're gonna input, allow you to build your house, like like base building in Skyrim, and you can take care of people and manage them, and you can have all these outfits and you can dress up, whatever it is." I think you never know. I think literally more girls probably want to pick that up. More younger girls want to pick that up because it seems like that's what they like. But just Aloy by herself being attractive is not
So
a reason why they would pick that title up.
So I'm looking at and I'll check another AI as well, but like from Gemini, it says top games amongst female players, Sims, as you said, rightfully so. Guess what's number 2?
Genshin Impact.
Genshin Impact.
Yeah.
And Zenless, Zoneless 0. And then Animal Crossing, and then Grand Theft Auto 6.
So what I would say about the Genshin Impact one is I think there's an element of culture that plays a role here, because I think Genshin Impact itself, I mean, it's big in Asia and in Japan,
but it's basically a gacha with those super over the top sexy characters. Same with Zenless, or Zenless Zone. Oh, fuck, I can never say that name. And then the list here is also for competitive games. Valorant, another hero shooter with I don't know what the female characters really look like on Valorant. I've never been in it, but Overwatch has some very, very attractive female characters, and most of the library in Overwatch is female. I think most of the fighters or most of the heroes are female. And then, surprise, surprise, or no surprise at all, Fortnite. Yeah.
Like going back to Zenless 0 and the gacha ones, I think that's more of a cultural thing. Like I would expect even that those games to be high, not because remember, I'm not saying it turns them off.
Yeah,
I'm saying that like the genre is more important.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think those games work in the West.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you told me that, oh yeah, it scores high in Japan and Asia, but in the West it scores differently. I wouldn't be surprised if you said in the West there was more guys who are probably playing it. Like maybe.
So I didn't ask. I didn't specify in terms of region. I just said generally amongst female gamers.
Yeah, because the same way how like in America, they like shooting games, but in Europe we don't rock with it as much. So I feel like even the females have different genre preferences. If you were to tell me where does Sims sell more, even from a female percentage, I would say there's more females in the West playing Sims than females in the East playing The Sims.
No, absolutely, because the brand is just not that big in the East.
Yeah, but like if they advertise it to women in the East, I just don't think just don't think they care as much as the West. I think the West has different maybe cultural tendencies that might lead to them liking that more. Maybe.
What about Fortnite?
Yeah, but I think Fortnite is a cultural phenomenon. For example, my friends. I'll give it like my friend's wife. She plays Fortnite, but I don't think she's buying. And she might buy Kim Kardashian because Kim Kardashian is a popular character. Yeah, true. And she might buy Margot Robbie. True, she might buy these things, but she's playing Fortnite not because Kim Kardashian is there. She's playing Fortnite because she likes Fortnite.
Okay.
Yeah.
But okay, cool. I think let's move on. This has been a very interesting. I always like to insert this subject everywhere. But anyways, let's move on for just the purpose of time, since it is.
Yeah, just a quick addendum as well. Real quick. I think, like I said, things are changing. I think the reason why you can also see why things are changing is because, when they were remixing Lara Croft, they made her like, if you go on the Lara Croft Reddit page, it's literally just a lot of gooners bragging about complaining about Lara Croft. They didn't do this, they didn't do that, whatever it is. When the trailer for the new one popped out, they were all pleasantly surprised and happy. Now there were a few of them who were like, well, they should have made her, whatever, more should have given her a bigger size or whatever. But however, most of them were like, yo, this is good. Like she got shorts, she got boots, and she looks good, and she's doing the cartwheel. Like they were all quite happy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying like that's a sign that things have or things are changing.
Yeah.
Also, S.T.A.L.K.E.R did so well. So there you go.
Yeah. So all right, that was very interesting.
I mean, also
I really like
Gears of War ED is coming out. So a female lead. It's back to the bros.
So I think we just have one more subject tied to really deal with, and it's gonna transition us from. Let me just. Let me just do this. Let's see if we can stop. I think we can stop the. We can transition from the Death Stranding 2 to this. So yeah, again, guys, as this is Seed Dance from China. So the news that came out this week is that Sora, that video app that brought you Martin Luther King, Tupac, Biggie, all in the WWE calling each other out, and all these other celebrities that have passed away, sort of doing outrageous things. OpenAI has announced that it's shutting it down. And I didn't see any reasoning besides the fact that, of course, OpenAI is bleeding money. So, Tai, what do you think this means? Do you think we're seeing the decline or the predicted decline of AI finally begin? Was it because of the likes of Seed Dance being better? Was it because of the sort of contention this could cause for, let's say, owned IPs? And, basically its sort of impact on entertainment overall? Because let's be frank here. If this technologies become part of mainstream, let's say, culture in general, billions or industries worth billions are going to lose money. So to me, I'm surprised they let it go as far as it did. But I want to hear your take. Well, what do you think was the cause? And do you think that AI is finally in decline?
So what was actually interesting here, I don't know who it was. I read an article on Twitter. I got a good few likes. I mean, you talked about this yesterday, but this guy seems like he kind of fleshed out certain parts that were quite interesting. He said, Sora is being cancelled. Basically, like just to summarize it, he mentioned some other company. I don't think it was Palantir, but he mentioned some other company, and he said these guys use their AI to focus solely on like enterprise and coding and whatever it is. Like that's what they decide to spend their resources on. And he mentioned how like these guys' valuation as a company shut up, and it shut up because it was more of a model that had a revenue predictability. It was enterprise, it was business, it was all this. It was things that you could actually use. So it's funny because I told you that I'm messing around with Unity, and I subscribed to OpenAI's higher tier because the conversations were finishing. I needed this thing to tell me if I was doing the right things or not. But it wasn't because I wanted to talk to it. It was because I was using it for coding, which is quite interesting, right? I signed up because of a practical use. So this other company apparently was doing this from a practical point of view, and they made a lot of money apparently. And it seems that because there is some type of AI crash going to happen, it seems, or something is brewing, but doesn't mean AI itself is dead. What it just means is that like they overplayed and they need to scale things back. And OpenAI wants to be in a position where even when that does happen, they have enough users to to push forward. Now, Sora is an interesting thing because what it did is it gave you the market. It allowed you to, it gave OpenAI more publicity because now people are making videos, people are joking, people are doing whatever they're trying to do. However, Sora eats up so much cash, so much revenue, and it's not worth it. It's a loss leader. Like the whole thing itself is like a loss leader, right?
Yeah.
But Sora was taking up way too much money, and it wasn't worth it. It wasn't practical.
Yeah.
It wasn't making money. So now they're shifting towards a profitability model, or like sustainability model. And then when you have DeepSeek and all these other Chinese ones, and they're better than you, in making this product, and you probably know deep down that like China's probably funding them, allowing them to kind of keep going.
Yep.
It just doesn't make sense for you to do this. So you're saying let's move towards a profitability part. We've done the marketing. We've released the AI tools, and that showed Trump and Biden making out. It showed Denzel Washington and Tupac dancing together and shaking. Like we have the marketing. It's all done. In fact, I give my friend the example of was DeepSeek or whatever it was. The Chinese one. What's the Chinese one called again?
There it is. S.T.A.L.K.E.R.
They knew that having Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt fighting was bad. They knew it 100%. And then someone's like, well, why did they allow it then? It's like they allowed it for the same reason why I believe OpenAI allowed the whole Trump and Biden thing, because it's good publicity. As soon as I saw Tom Cruise and Matt Damon or whoever it was fighting, I was like, oh, this shit is crazy. And they know they're gonna get like these companies calling them like, yo, take that shit down. It's like, yeah, we'll take it down, but like the damage is done. Like people have seen it. They now know that like the Sora is not the main thing right now. Ours is the main thing. So at that point, just leave, just stop. You know what I mean? Like they've won. It was great marketing.
I would watch this movie. Like I'm just looking at some of these. This is so good.
Yeah, no, like it's great. Like see dances, because they've seen and they've said to themselves, are we gonna start losing? First of all, first and foremost, are we gonna start losing people to sea dance?
Yeah.
Like, and the answer was yes. Now to them that was a good thing, right? Because it's kind of what I told you about cloud at some point. For every cloud user you're using, they're actually losing money.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's like, this thing is taking up so much money. Like, are we trying to compete with these guys? No, we're not trying to compete with these guys, because this is a loss leading venture. Like, who cares about this? We need to start making money, and all these little free, you can make these, like, this looks amazing, right? But the question you got to ask yourself is like, if this is amazing, but how much does this cost to make?
Yeah, it's a lot of power stations. It's a lot of silicon that you need to use for this.
Yeah, this isn't cheap, and the people who are like subscribing to this, they're probably getting a good deal, to be honest, for whatever. Like, I saw OpenAI's tier list, and I was like, Jesus, are people really paying like $300 to use OpenAI? And it's like, but the features that they're giving you are really good, but it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Someone also said this a while ago, that when you build a consumer base based on something that's free, to transition them into paying for it is always going to be difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, we'll see. Because
one thing I'll say real quick is that anime like this, I think anime like this is probably the one that's going to be the most trouble in terms of losing consumers or creativity. Because I think with the human ones, you can still kind of tell, you can just see a few things here and there, like it's great. But the anime ones,
uncanny valley is still there.
Yeah, but the anime ones are so like, it's anime,
Yeah.
Oh jeez, I can't like help but like not laugh at some of this stuff. Like the creativity behind this. It's the stuff that like, childhood dreams are made of. Like when you're playing in the playground and you're imagining what it would like when your favorite characters from all these different shows have to face off. And in 2026 we have that. Incredible.
Which is something that I want you to actually answer because I don't know. He says Gears of War 3 was weird. Those two girls did nothing for the plot except looking pretty. Is that true?
Well, I mean, Gears of War 3 didn't have much of a plot to begin with. I mean, who had a plot besides Marcus Phoenix and who's the other main character? Dom. What was Cole there for? What was what's his name? Beard there for? Like a lot of the characters just did not have any significant stories. They were just there to fill up the roster and to like, yay, so and so is in this game. Hey, here's Beard. Aside from Marcus Phoenix and who's the other character? Dom. Nobody had a plot in Gears 3 to answer Raichi's question.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, time. We did 2 hours and just about 30 minutes. I think that's a good... let me just check if there is anything that we missed. Okay, the Ayaneo thing is fine. We can leave that for Friday. It's not really a significant story. I'll see if I can squeeze it into something else. But yeah, I think that's more or less all the subjects. Yeah, and we did it in under 2 hours and 30 minutes. And I think this is a great place to close off. Anything else, Ty? Any stories or anything that was not on my radar?
In relation to the Xbox situation, Asha did also. I mean, the rumors were that like Asha is also looking to revamp Game Pass and ways to bring in subscribers.
Yeah.
I know we might have spoken about this before, but I don't know if you've I can't remember exactly what you said or if you've changed your mind. But in the same way we talked about the Netflix situation, if you were to revamp Game Pass and to try to bring in more users to the platform, how would you go about doing that? Let the audience know what your plans would be.
It would be to put Game Pass on as many storefronts as possible. I think that's the only way you grow it, because we've seen that like the Xbox ecosystem itself has limitations. So try and get it on Steam. That would be my next natural progression, is to see if I can't get Game Pass on a platform like Steam, because that is probably where you're going to get the most, in terms of users traction. I don't think you'll get it on PlayStation, because especially with Sony doubling down on everything else. Nintendo would be interesting, because Nintendo is not really threatened by third-party games. Having a subscription service on there could potentially be beneficial for them, because it means that they no longer have to focus on bringing third-party games. You can just get them through Game Pass, and they'll bring the ones that I think will benefit their ecosystem. So that would be maybe an interesting value proposition. And then, of course, the last one would be, what we talked about earlier, which is integration into Netflix, or finding some way of trying to court that audience from Netflix and bring them over to Game Pass.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's if Rachie or Fuzzy, if you guys are still there, if you guys want to answer, how would you get more people to Game Pass? Or maybe you guys are gone now. So
yeah. And you, what would you do?
I don't know. I think Game Pass can only grow on its respective platforms. So cloud gaming is a big one. I would improve cloud, and I would improve cloud. I'll also make cloud separate by its own tier, and have the Game Pass option as well, for sure. for the PC, I would. Yeah, Richie, let us know how would you improve Game Pass. No, sorry, how would you improve? Yeah, how would you improve or revamp Game Pass? And for the PC part of it, I like the idea you said some time ago about maybe a very curated Steam version. I think you can get away with having two different tiers, like an Xbox Microsoft tier that has everything, right? So that's on the Xbox app, and then a smaller tier that's on the PC. That's on the Steam storefront. I think you could do that, and that could even act as a Trojan to get people to actually get the full Game Pass. Like, oh shit, this is actually a pretty good service. That's one. But to be honest, I think the only way to really make this work is you have to grow your PC storefront, your console storefront, and your cloud storefront. Like that's pretty much it. Because I don't see Game Pass as a selling point by itself. I see it as an add-on that is very attractive within the ecosystem. It's kind of like what I said to you about sometimes. There are some games that sell consoles, and there's some games that won't sell a console, but they'll do well within the ecosystem. An example of that, like maybe Power World is a game, or even High on Life 2 is a game that did well on Game Pass, but no one's buying a console to play it. It does well within the ecosystem. It doesn't mean people are going to go purchase that title. Fuzzy says make it cheaper. I think that's not
agreed, Fuzzy. Word to the wise.
Yeah, like Fuzzy's right. It's not going to grow anymore. But like I think making it cheaper doesn't. I don't think it's going to fix the problem. It's going to grow, but it's going to plateau again very fast. And I don't know if it's worth it because now you're losing less. You're losing more revenue. You need to sell the console. You need to make your PC storefront attractive, and you need to sell cloud. What I think you can do here is, I also like I said, I like your Steam idea. I maybe even put it on Epic as well. Like, and make an Epic version and a GOG version, like make different versions or whatever. But I think what you can do here is you can make even the smaller tiers more enticing. Now, does this hurt Game Pass or not in terms of ultimately users going down to the lower tiers? Maybe, I'm not too sure. But I think what you can do here is have different tiers of Game Pass. Game Pass 1, Game Pass 2, Game Pass 3, Game Pass Ultimate. In Game Pass 1, Richie says, first I would focus on Essential. Essential is terrible value. I would bring back Gold, or I would shuffle the Essential library every 3 months. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would do Game Pass 1. And Game Pass 1 is, I think that's Essential, correct? If it's Essential, is Game Pass Essential?
That's the lowest tier.
The lowest tier. I would bring more added value, just like Richie. I'll bring more value to Essential. Except I gotta even do this. You get a day one game in Essential. I think I told you this before. The Game Pass 1, Game Pass 2, Game Pass 3. And in Game Pass 1, you get a day one game a year. Apart from Call of Duty. Call of Duty is not included in that list. And for Game Pass 2, you get maybe 2 day one games a year. And for Game Pass 3, you get 3 a year. And I think what that means is that like people start to look at the value proposition and say, well, Game Pass one game is cool, but if I pay an extra $5 or whatever, $10, I'm gonna get another day one game. So I think it actually kind of makes you want to go towards a higher tier. But I think when you're at Game Pass 3, whatever price we're gonna put that in, what you do there is like I think people are gonna be on that tier because I think 3 day one games is quite attractive. And then you can have Game Pass Ultimate, which is basically every game. And I would even say for every game, Game Pass Ultimate, you could put that to $35. Every day one game, $35. But you put Game Pass 3, which is 3 games, to $25. I think even though people are like, well, $5 more gives me every day one games back in the days, I think people are really willing to swallow $25. Maybe even make Game Pass 3 to 4 games instead. Now here's what I think is really important. You're going to put a system in place that you will not get access to these day one games or whatever. You have to have at least 3 months backdated within Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
So if you arrive in January and you sign up in January, whatever day one games are there, you can't get them. You need to have January, February, March ticked off, and then once you have January, February, March ticked off, then you have access to everything. If you unsubscribe, then you lose the 3 months starts again.
Mm.
You can't jump in and out every time. You have to have 3 months backdated to be able to get a day one game. And I think
That's an
that
interesting approach,
forces
yeah.
people to stay within Game Pass,
Mhm.
and it gets rid of the guys who are just jumping in and running off. So you stop the churn.
Mm.
So I'll say I think that can be if that's done well, I think that can be very, very attractive.
That's very interesting. That's an interesting approach. It's very different from anything that Xbox has tried. I certainly never really thought of that. Rachie says remove COD from Game Pass and give 30% discount to Game Pass Ultimate users.
Oh,
Rachie
so sorry. To Rachie's point, I actually forgot about this. You're right, Rachie. For the Game Pass Ultimate one, whatever it's going to be, $30 or $35, you can also say 50%. Like, because you can say like there's so many ways you can do it. You can say 3 day one games and every other day one game 50% off. So now the question is, are you incentivizing people to actually because now it's like, okay, I got my day one games, aka S.T.A.L.K.E.R, Doom, and Forza. But there's another day one game called Outer Worlds 2 coming out. I mean, I don't want to really spend $70 on it. I would have played it on Game Pass, but you're telling me I'm getting it for $30 or $25. Okay, I'm gonna purchase it. Yeah. I think that actually incentivizes people to actually purchase these things, because now you realize you're in an exclusive club where only you are getting these offers. This is not like a Steam sale. This is for you, just you getting this offer. And I think that might incentivize people to actually start to purchase these titles more if you make it a 50% discount off. Because if you're gonna take away day one games, then you might as well give them something else that's gonna actually keep them enticed. Now, you could also just say, well, for the Game Pass Ultimate version, it's to make people actually want to go on Ultimate, to make Ultimate a better value, aka $35 a month. You could say every day one game, but also, as Richie says, 30% discount. Like I think you could do that. There's so many ways you could do it, where you can read the data and say, what's the best way to keep the fans, people happy, but also to bring them back. I can almost, I'll probably tell you this, as long as you're saying you're going back to $25 and $20, and you tell people like, oh, you get 3 or 4 day one games, even though people are like, yo, but you're taking away every single game, I think the fact that it's even cheaper overrides the fact that oh, it's every day one game, whatever it is. I think that actually works if you market it well. It's like when EA they'll tell you, at least back in the days with whatever it is, they'll be like, oh, this game is released and here's all the microtransactions, it's gonna cost you $2,000 or $5,000 to buy everything. And everyone goes crazy. Then they say, oh, sorry, it's only gonna cost you $1,000, even though that's expensive. People are like, okay, well, they reduced it, but it's a trick. They were never gonna charge $2,000. They just wanted to see what they could get away with, so they went high and then they made you think that they went low, but that was always their strategy. So I think you could kind of play it like that. And I think because Asha is also the new CEO, she can get away with it. If Phil did this, it'd be like incompetence. Why'd you do it in the first place? Yeah. You're a liar. We don't trust you. But Asha's like, yo, I'm revamping this way because I think this way works better. This way it deals with different. And if you tell people the facts, tell them, but I look at the data. It says most of you don't actually play day one games. Chris Drinkways the data. Most people play catalog games. So we're trying to give the guys who play catalog games more benefits. Here's a day one game. So now Essential's yo, Essential's cool now. And the other tier is cool now. And for the day one players, it's like who on Ultimate is like, yeah, but y'all don't really play day one games though. So how about this? You get 4 day one games or whatever it is, and then you get everything else that's on it as at a discount of 50%. I think you can make this work. You just need to say the right things and market it well, and boom. And Richie says, the problem I have with Game Pass is the promise is you are getting day one games. Okay, but Xbox wasn't releasing crap for years.
Yeah.
Now the games are finally coming and they raised the price.
Yeah. Look, I mean, again, like it's all these. Like I always say that Xbox has these, like they're like a monkey. It's like the whole thing of making a wish, like the monkey's paw thing, where everything that they do has a double negative effect on their business. On the other, like the opposite effect. In terms of like how it affects their business, and it actually ends up hurting their business. I just wish for once they could just make strategies that are consistent in the sense that they don't have any negative pushback. Because again, like then we go back to the whole thing in terms of like uh, uh, Game Pass itself, and to Rachel's point in terms of like it was supposed to be that you're gonna get one big, tentpole game every quarter, and that sort of didn't happen. The service was there; it was cheaper. Those tentpole games didn't happen, but then when the tentpole games started to come through, then they raised the price. Like there's always these sort of like contradictory things where there's a benefit and then there's a negative flip side. And I'm talking from a business perspective and for the consumers. They're very inconsistent in that way.
True.
You can never just have like a streak where they are winning and they're just doing great, and it's just a winning streak, and they're just on this. They haven't had anything like that, I think, since the 360 days, where they were just hitting, home run after home run. It's just not been happening for them. So,
agreed.
I suppose it's a wait and see when it comes to that. Is that let's see what she does, because again, like she's coming up with a lot of like creative, like I like what she's doing, like these little baby steps. And I want to see what the compound effect is going to be. But she's also it's not enough. I'll say this. It's not enough. It's enough to get people talking, but it's not enough. They're going to have to do bigger things, whether it's through Game Pass, whether it's through consoles, exclusives, whatever. They're going to have to make bigger moves to get the people talking. And again, I caution Xbox gamers, because the thing is with Xbox fans, whoever are still left, they tend to be overly optimistic whenever they start to get a couple of W's. This is how Phil Spencer started, with a lot of praise and yay, he's saving the brand. And he did that for like 2-3 years. The whole thing fell apart a couple of years into it. So, curb your enthusiasm a bit here.
Be cautious.
Yeah. Like, because you're going to be disappointed if you don't. There's a huge chance. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying there's a huge chance that there's potential disappointment. So just look at history and use those lessons from history in terms of your excitement for what Xbox is going to do going forward. But anyways, Ty, I think let's wrap it up. We still have the Friday show coming up. So yeah, I think this is a good time to sort of like bring the show to a close. Guys, thank you for joining us. It's been awesome. Raichi, shout out. Fuzzy, Vincent. Who else was here? Am I missing anyone? Yeah, I think that's all the people in the chat and everyone else, because I saw that there was a lot of people throughout the show that came in and were listening to this awesome conversation that we've been having. Always an awesome pleasure having you guys with us, and we look forward to seeing you guys on Friday as well. Where, of course, the one thing I didn't cover, but I think just for time, we can talk about it. Friday is another big Xbox event, and that's the partner preview coming tomorrow. So we will definitely make that the core focus of Friday's show. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. Yes, Ty?
Yeah, no, the partner preview is going to be good. I think they said there's going to be some new announcements. So it's not just like, old games that were, seen before. It's going to be some new games as well. Obviously, there's going to be some Game Pass drops. That'll be really interesting as well to see. And I think they're going to obviously push Play Anywhere. as well. So I think expect some other big titles to be on Play Anywhere. I think this year they've done a great job, because as much as people want to say, "Oh, there's no one like plays these games like on Play Anywhere," to get Crimson Desert and to get James Bond, which, if you want to think about it, are the two biggest third-party games apart from GTA that's supposed to come out this year. That's not obviously like football or sports related. Obviously Resident Evil came out as well, so that's bigger than both of them, obviously. But but to get these two titles is huge. It's really, really big, especially when you're trying to push this Play Anywhere kind of mindset. Now, you messed up with the PC launch part of it, but overall, I expect more Play Anywhere titles, and I think there might be a surprise there or not. I mean, I think there'll be a surprise there. Maybe another big title be like, oh, Play Anywhere as well. Boom.
Rachel, I definitely name dropped Vega, Vincent. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I name dropped Vincent as well. But guys, thank you.
Rachel, question: do you listen to Everborn and K Santa's podcast? Number one, and number two, are you on their Discord? Just wondering. I'm on K Santa's Discord and Everborn, but I don't speak as much. I'm normally checking out when I'm in work. I'm just wondering because I've seen your different Xbox podcasts. I was just wondering if you've ever been on K Santa's one, on his Discord and chatted or whatever.
He says I have Discord for Crazy Lou.
Oh, Crazy! I was listening to Crazy Lou's show today when I was in work, and then I can't remember. I messed up listening. I think I thought it worked, so I just stopped listening to it.
Anyways, like I was gonna say to you, like to me, I don't know. Like I'm not a big stan of Play Anyway. I don't know. It just doesn't make a difference to me whatsoever. It's just one of those services. Like I don't.
But do you play on your You play on your handheld and console and PC, right?
Yeah, but that's through Game Pass.
Yeah, but I mean, like, because I know you said you don't like it, but like, just a query. But like, if you wanted to get James Bond, and you knew like you could have it on your Xbox desktop, and
so I don't play games like that. Like, for instance, I have specific games that I play on my handheld. I've got specific games that I play on console, specific games that I play on PC. So I don't do this thing of wanting to sort of like have my saves carry over from one system to another. I tend to, each console or each system, I play the games that are best suited for that platform. On my handheld, I play the quicker games, like for instance, your Marvel Heroes, that 2D game that came out a while back. PC strategy games, first-person shooters. Xbox, your more action-adventure type games. So that's why, to me, like, it's just, I don't see, it just doesn't change the price of
that's interesting. So like, if you were traveling to like, I don't know, to the countryside or whatever it is, you would change the kind of games you play.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't play the games I play with my PC. The only time I do that is, like, for instance, if I want to play a game while I'm in bed, then I will remote play it from my PC to my device. That's it. I've never really, used cross saves to play, unless I decide, okay, cool, I'm gonna stop playing it on Xbox and I'm gonna start playing this game on PC, for instance. That's the only time it sort of factors in. So to me, the appeal is just, for the type of game I am, it's not really there. But I get it.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because like for me, the games I play on my PC are the same because I play on my Xbox, and even to an extent my mobile phone when I'm streaming it or whatever, or doing remote play. There are some games that I wouldn't play on my PC. For example, I like a game like Citizen Sleeper. I wouldn't play my PC or my console, but I'll definitely play on my mobile phone. So, but these are very like indie small titles that I think are really great for bed. But overall, like if I want to play Cyberpunk, it's gonna be like to me my desktop and my console play the exact same type of games. I wouldn't like they're so interchangeable to me. But that's interesting that you know that they do it like that.
All right, guys, let's get the hell out of here. We'll check you guys Friday. Thanks for joining us. Players out. Cheers, guys.
Thank you, Richie. Ciao, everyone.